Chapter 906. The sagely battle god's calm voice made the surrounding people feel a headache coming on, asking Su Yin to come down to talk. Didn't he know how difficult it was to cross the god burial mountain? Now, the sagely battle god had asked Su Yin to come down to talk. Who did he think he was? The hall master of the Tao Temple, and a powerful almighty at that. He had actually waved at Su Yin and asked him to come down to talk. This was too much. They admitted that the sagely battle god was strong enough. He was also a peerless genius of the Tao Temple and had even entered the heaven god realm. They were not surprised that he had called for some elites. After all, the sagely battle god was qualified. But who was Su Yin? He was the one who had killed his way through the world. What kind of calamity had he not experienced? What kind of bloodshed had he not encountered? He had killed his way out of the 10 chaos channels and even stood on the god burial mountain. It seemed like he had obtained a great fortune. How could such a person be ordinary? Even a normal divine king was not as important as him. But now, the sagely battle god had come and seemed to have a favor to ask of Su Yin. However, his tone made the onlookers speechless. They felt that the sagely battle god was looking for trouble. This is a good idea. Su Yin made a decision. He looked at the figure standing at the foot of the mountain and waved at him. Come up and talk. Su Yin's actions did not surprise the onlookers. However, asking the sagely battle god to go up was like asking him to die. The sagely battle god, Yingjie, was at the peak of his generation. His indestructible body shone brightly, and his blood essence surged, causing the mountains and rivers to rumble. His aura was very strong. However, facing Su Yin's attitude, the sagely battle god raised his eyebrows. His face was filled with anger. His aura became even stronger. His body was dazzling like a burning furnace. That blazing source of energy covered God Burial Mountain. Su Yin, I'm here on orders. He looked cold and shouted, Come down. I have something to tell you. It will be beneficial for you. You should take this opportunity. Who do you think you are? Su Yin's eyes flashed with 2 bolts of lightning. He pointed at the sagely battle god and said, You still have things to tell me? Who do you think you are? Isn't it just a little indestructible body? You think you're some big shot. Everyone was in an uproar. They never thought that Su Yin's words would be so overbearing. A mere indestructible body? Could it be that the immortal body was not strong enough? He, the sagely battle god, had already reached the heavenly god realm. His cultivation level was much higher than Su Yin's. Moreover, He Xingtian was a peerless genius of the Dao Hall. He had a lot of weight. Wasn't Su Yin's tone a little too arrogant? However, some people were already used to it. King Flash's background was even greater. But if he continued to struggle on God Burial Mountain, he would soon lose his life. How dare you? The sagely battle god was enraged. His entire body was filled with boundless, indestructible golden light. It was so bright that even the universe was dazzling. At this moment, it was as if the world was tumbling along with his power. A character like the sagely battle god had stepped into the heavenly god realm. His battle prowess had truly exceeded everyone's expectations. The heavens and earth trembled violently as a terrifying aura filled the air. It was as if the heavens were collapsing, suppressing everything within 100,000 miles. What a powerful, sagely battle god. There are also heavenly gods here. However, they were trembling from the bottom of their hearts. It was as if they were facing a giant. Their breathing was heavy, and their souls were filled with terrifying pressure. It was as if they were facing the divine king. One had to admit that the sagely battle god had the right to be arrogant. He was like a god who controlled the sky. He looked down on everything, and his power shook the heavens. Su Yin, how dare you talk to me like this? The sagely battle god shouted angrily. I'm here on the orders of the Dao Hall. If you know what's good for you, come down immediately. What a joke. Why does the Dao Hall have to order me around? Su Yin couldn't help but laugh. If you have anything to say, then say it. Don't disturb my cultivation. If you have the guts, then come up and speak. If not, then get lost. I don't have time to deal with you now. Su Yin, you're too arrogant. The sagely battle god's aura shot up into the sky. His blood essence surged out like an ocean. The impact caused the universe to shake. Suddenly, countless stars trembled and looked like they were going to fall down. However, the sagely battle god didn't dare to take a step forward. Before he came, the Dao Hall's strong cultivators had warned him not to go up the mountain. Otherwise, there would be a disaster. The sagely battle god felt very wronged. He shouted, "This concerns a universal secret realm. Don't regret it." What? The surrounding people were shocked. Was the Dao Hall here to invite Su Yin to join them, and even promise him the right to enter the universal secret realm? Everyone knew that the Dao Hall controlled many universal secret realms. They would usually select outstanding disciples to enter the universal secret realms to find opportunities. Even the Supremes would be tempted by such opportunities. However, they felt that with Su Yan's prestige, it wouldn't be difficult for him to obtain these. If the Dao Hall wanted to rope Su Yan in, they would have to pay a certain amount of resources. Speak clearly. Don't beat around the bush, Su Yin asked with interest. He was also very curious about the universal secret realms. The sagely battle god suppressed the flames in his heart and said coldly, "Su Yin, you're also a character. However, it's obvious that you won't be able to climb to the top of the God Burial Mountain. Why don't we make a deal of equal value?" "What do you mean?" Su Yan's eyes flashed with a cold light. Was the Dao Hall trying to get their hands on the God Burial Mountain? If others had the ability to climb the mountain, he wouldn't care. However, if they had designs on him, then he would be embarrassed. "I have the immortal body." The sagely battle god placed his hand behind his back and said proudly, "My physical body is the strongest in my generation. I'm afraid that the God Burial Mountain is a test of my physical body. With the strength of my physical body, it won't be difficult for me to reach the top. If you're willing to hand over the secret of climbing the mountain," the sagely battle god said slowly, "it'll be a great contribution to the Dao Hall. Not only can you become a disciple of the Dao Hall, but you can also obtain the right to enter the universal secret realm. This is a rare opportunity." The sagely battle god smiled and waved at Su Yin. "Su Yin, you haven't entered the Heaven's God realm yet. When the time comes, cultivate well in the universal secret realm. There's hope for you to become an Heaven's God." The surrounding people were shocked. They didn't expect the sagely battle god to really be here on orders. After all, he couldn't personally promise the right to enter the universal secret realm. This was something that the Dao Hall's big shots had agreed to. However, given the importance of the God Burial Mountain, it was enough for the Dao Hall to pay attention to. Since Su Yin knew the secret to climbing the mountain, as long as they could convince Su Yin, everything would be fine. When he noticed Su Yan's hesitation, the sagely battle god frowned and said impatiently, "Not satisfied? Su Yin, this price is enough. Do you know what it means to be a disciple of the Dao Hall?" Su Yin sneered. He really didn't care. What could the Dao Hall give him? He didn't believe that a power could nurture him unconditionally. There were no saints in this world. At that moment, 5 young Divine Firmament sect elites walked over from afar. They were all King Flash's generals. Each of them was very powerful and had a strong aura. Actually, they had been here for a long time. However, they didn't dare to go near the God Burial Mountain or provoke Su Yin. They weren't the only ones. 3 of the Divine Firmament sect's elders had also come. The Divine Firmament sect would not give up on King Flash so easily. If they could save him, they would definitely save him. Although King Flash had suffered a terrible defeat, he was still the Divine Firmament sect's future hope. After all, the Star Domain origin mark would not be recognized in a short time. However, if King Flash died, the Divine Firmament Star region would lose the resources that they were most proud of. Their status would be awkward. "Su Yin, we already know about the grudge between you and our sect. Today, we are here to express our attitude." The 3 elders of the Divine Firmament sect spoke. They were very humble, and their old faces were like blooming chrysanthemums. They revealed a fake smile. "Our sect can give you a sage herb to offset our previous grudge. Let's forget about it with a smile. How about that?" Su Yin smiled. The Divine Firmament sect elites that he had been waiting for had finally arrived. It was obvious that the Divine Firmament sect had come because of the sagely battle god. The sagely battle god also laughed. That's right. Su Yin, you will soon be a disciple of the Dao Hall. King Flash and I are friends. Senior brother, you can protect him. Give me some face and send him down the mountain. When King Flash, who was halfway up the mountain, heard the sagely battle god's words, he was so excited that his body trembled. He had seen the light in his despair. He had seen the light. Indeed, his family would not give up on him. They must have persuaded the Dao Hall to come and plead for him. The God Burial Mountain was too dangerous. The Divine Firmament sect could not organize people to save him. Only Su Yin could send him down the mountain safely. Junior brother, hurry up and go down the mountain. The sagely battle god urged as he waved at Su Yin. He was very arrogant. At the same time, a trace of passion flashed across his eyes. How could he not be envious of the opportunities in the God Burial Mountain? Now that he was getting closer and closer to the opportunity, he would be able to see the heaven-defying opportunities in this place. As long as Su Yin could tell him the secrets of the God Burial Mountain, everything would be fine. The Divine Firmament sect elites were worried that Su Yin would raise the price again. However, since the sagely battle god had come, Su Yin would not reject him, right? Seeing that Su Yin was silent, the sagely battle god frowned and said, Junior brother, are you not going to give me some face? We will all be brothers in the future. There's no need to kill each other. Stop blabbering. Can you shut up for me? Get lost. Su Yin was enraged by the way he kept calling him junior brother. Is this sagely battle god here to tease me? Does he really think I am a fool? F***CK. Using a mystic realm in exchange for the secrets of the God Burial Mountain. Only the sagely battle god could say that. How dare you? The sagely battle god was enraged. His entire body was filled with anger. Heaven and earth rumbled. Streaks of terrifying blood essence filled the sky. He was like an indestructible golden body, emitting an aura that could swallow the heavens. Who do you think you are? Su Yin pointed at the sagely battle god and roared. You really think too highly of yourself. Who the F***CK do you think you are? Get lost now. Su Yin's angry roar reverberated in the sky, shaking the souls of the elites. They all felt suffocated. He is asking the sagely battle god to get lost? B***starred. The sagely battle god was enraged. His entire body emitted a dazzling light, like an eternal sun in the sky. His entire body rose into the sky. At that moment, the sagely battle god emitted a terrifying aura. This was the divine aura of a peerless god. Oh my god, what is the sagely battle god trying to do? Everyone was shocked. The sagely battle god seemed to be imitating Su Yin. He seemed to be imitating the way Su Yin punched King Flash in the past. He rose from the ground and rushed into the sky. He waved his fist and wanted to punch Su Yin. He is imitating Su Yin and punching King Flash. Now he's going to punch Su Yin, who is standing at the peak of the God Burial Mountain. This is too awesome. Many people were shocked and excited. Could the sagely battle god succeed? Please remember the domain name of this book. 9 Heaven's Divine Emperor Mobile Version website. Chapter 907. The sagely battle god is indeed a peerless genius of the Taoist temple. He is indeed a young overlord. The eyes of the big shots who were entrenched in the outside world lit up. They never thought that the sagely battle god would be so strong and domineering. He would attack without saying a word. He was even imitating Su Yan's magnificent feat of punching the Lightning King. This scene really shocked the big shots of the big races. The upper echelons of the Divine Firmament sect applauded. Someone laughed and said, the sagely battle god is domineering. He is a heavenly god. No matter how strong Su Yin is, he will not be able to escape the fate of being suppressed. That's right. Once Su Yin is suppressed, he will be able to spit out the secret of the God Burial Mountain. Su Yin has been arrogant for too long. It is time for someone to step in and let him see the cruelty of reality. Let him shatter his invincible belief. Many people turned pale as well. This sagely battle god was truly decisive and tyrannical, directly attacking. He had long since cultivated a peerless spirit an unrivaled attitude that could sweep through all the kings under the heavens. Thus, the important figures of various races viewed him with some respect. Looks like King Flash can be saved. Suyin has been arrogant for so long. It is time for him to suffer. The upper echelons of the divine firmament sect were the most excited. Once Su Yin was suppressed, he would obediently send King Flash down the mountain. Perhaps they would not even need to pay the sage herb. Buzz. At the God Burial Mountain, divine light shone brightly. It contained a kind of power that could burn the sky and split the sea. This was the aura of the indestructible body. It was so powerful that it made the vast territory tremble. Boom! The sagely battle god rose from the ground. He was a young overlord of the heavenly god realm. The divine power in his body was so strong that it made the cultivators of the same generation suffocate. His precious body released thousands of layers of chi and blood, forcibly breaking the void tens of thousands of miles away. Oh my God! The people around were really frightened. They looked at the sagely battle god in shock. It was hard to imagine that this was a heavenly god and a young overlord who had just stepped into the heavenly god realm. He was really ridiculously strong. All right, the 5 generals under King Flash's command were all excited. They roared in their hearts. Su Yin is nothing. The sagely battle god has already reached the divine realm. Maybe the sagely battle god can kill Su Yin along the way. By then, King Flash will definitely be able to escape unscathed. Su Yin, I'm giving you another chance. You have to cherish it. The sagely battle god placed his hands behind his back with an arrogant expression. His words were like a giant bell that shook the heaven and earth. His aura and godly prowess filled the area. Moreover, his pupils had turned golden as he looked at Su Yin with an unquestionable tone. He was a heavenly deity, so how could he talk to Su Yin, a mere deity? If it weren't for the God Burial Mountain, the sagely battle god would have already suppressed him and taught him a lesson. After all, in the eyes of the sagely battle god, the chaos ruins would not allow such an awesome person to appear. Su Yin's previous actions had thoroughly pissed off the sagely battle god. He wanted to teach Su Yin a lesson and let him know who the chaos ruins belonged to. What right did a young talent from the abandoned race have to compete for hegemony? I'm also giving you a chance. Don't blame me for not reminding you. Su Yin laughed out loud as he stood on top of the God Burial Mountain. He stood on top of a mountain of corpses and a sea of blood. He was filled with a domineering aura. You have to pay the price for your arrogance. The sagely battle god's aura changed drastically. His treasure body shot out rays of divine light as his aura exploded. It was actually stronger than before. This also caused the heaven and earth to tremble. The sun and moon lost their light. Even space-time was trembling. The area within a radius of tens of thousands of miles was suppressed by a supreme aura. What a terrifying, sagely battle god. He must have wanted to deal with Su Yin all along. Otherwise, he wouldn't have hidden his strength. I really didn't expect the sagely battle god to be this powerful. Countless cultivators exclaimed. As the sagely battle god's aura spread out, the scene of heaven and earth collapsing was like an ocean exploding. That peerless aura surged out with an invincible aura. In the heaven and earth, only the sagely battle god was shining with boundless radiance. He seemed to have reached the limit of the indestructible body's potential. This was an invincible body that was known as the supreme body. Dong! People saw that the sagely battle god didn't say a word. He was waving his fist. He was really imitating Su Yin in the past. He wanted to punch Su Yin on top of the God Burial Mountain. It's over. The sagely battle god is a heavenly god. Su Yin is still in the godly spirit realm. They're fighting at the same level, but Madman Su Yin is one level lower. This is a fatal threat. Is Su Yin going to lose his dignity today and help the sagely battle god? I'm afraid that's possible. The sagely battle god is suppressing Su Yin with his heavenly god strength. Is there any suspense? Looks like Su Yin's invincible legend is going to be ended by the sagely battle god today. The atmosphere was heated to the extreme. The big figures outside were watching nervously. The moment this punch was thrown out, It was as if the heavens were suppressing the world. It was as if an indestructible sun had shaken open the sea of stars. That kind of powerful aura rushed to the peak of God Burial Mountain and unleashed a bloody suppression against Su Yin. Everything became blurry and dim in front of the sagely battle god's shocking fist aura. People seemed to see countless corpses on top of the God Burial Mountain being smashed into ashes. That was why this fist could destroy a place of life and destroy a forbidden area of life. When the fist was infinitely close to the God Burial Mountain, a loud noise shook the sky. The spectating cultivators all spat out blood. Even the heavenly gods were sent flying far away. The powerful cultivators from the divine firmament sect all cried out in pain. What a terrifying, sagely battle god. The sagely battle god's victory belongs to him. Some people shouted excitedly. The powerful cultivators of the older generation were all trembling in fear. It was hard to imagine that the aftershock of the sagely battle god's fist aura was extremely difficult for them to bear. It was as if they were facing the divine king, a powerful cultivator. Ah! A shrill cry suddenly sounded. It was extremely ear-piercing in the midst of this divine might that made them want to kneel down and worship it. Some people's hearts sank. Was there any suspense? Could it be that Su Yin was seriously injured by a single punch, just like the Lightning King from before? No! Someone suddenly shouted with a terrified expression, because this was not Su Yan's voice. Just as they were trying to figure out who was screaming, they suddenly discovered that the previously arrogant, sagely battle god was screaming in pain. This scene caused everyone to fall into a daze. Not only was the sagely battle god screaming in pain, but his body was also trembling. The extremely vigorous, indestructible divine power in his body was flowing out of his body and toward the God Burial Mountain. What was the God Burial Mountain? It was a demonic mountain, a place where all the major races in history trembled in fear. The sagely battle god was so arrogant that he thought that punching Su Yin was equivalent to punching the God Burial Mountain. When his power came into contact with the God Burial Mountain, the strange power in the God Burial Mountain had already been drawn out and greedily devoured the sagely battle god's life essence. This was far more serious than climbing the mountain. It was equivalent to provoking the God Burial Mountain. This disastrous outcome befell the sagely battle god. He screamed in pain, and his divine firmament, divine power, dissipated. It was as if he was going to be sucked dry in a short time. Many people were dumbfounded. What the F***CK is this? Such a domineering attack to punch Su Yin. But before he could even touch Su Yan's clothes, he was about to be devoured by the God Burial Mountain. Many people were dumbfounded, including the important figures in the outside world. They didn't know what to say. Some people wanted to laugh, but they couldn't. A series of flabbergasted images appeared before their eyes. Only the elders of the Taoist temple were anxious. The sagely battle god had great potential and was an indestructible body. His future was limitless. But if his foundation was destroyed by the God Burial Mountain, the Taoist temple would lose a peerless talent. Ha! Ha ha ha! Only Su Yin was laughing loudly. He laughed so hard that his stomach hurt. If he, the sagely battle god, died because of this, he would become a laughingstock. A laughingstock that would be passed down through the ages. Roar. The sagely battle god didn't care about anything else. He kept roaring, trying to break free from the God Burial Mountain's devouring power. But he couldn't do it. At this moment, the sagely battle god was really panicking. He kept using his power to resist the God Burial Mountain's devouring power and to seal the essence blood that was leaking out of his body. But it was very difficult for him to do so. He felt that he was about to die. The source of life in his body was starting to dry up. He was terrified of the God Burial Mountain from the bottom of his heart. He really wanted to curse. Who the F***CK asked me to come here? Why the F***CK did I come here? Did I want to die? Bastard. The sagely battle god used all his strength, but in the end, he roared in anger. Everyone was in disbelief because the sagely battle god's body was torn apart. What was going on? Was the sagely battle god already dead? Was he even weaker than King Flash? Some people gasped when they saw that the sagely battle god had turned into a golden puppet. The important figures in the outside world were shocked. This was a substitute puppet, and it was even an extremely high-level puppet. This thing could even save the divine king's life. The sagely battle god actually had such a good thing. Su Yin, I'm going to destroy your soul and tear you into pieces. The sagely battle god appeared in the nearby void again. His eyes were about to pop out of their sockets, and he was so angry that his body was trembling. This was the most precious treasure of the He family, and it was destroyed just like that. The sagely battle god was so angry that his chest heaved up and down violently. He was about to spit out a mouthful of blood. Not only was his substitute puppet destroyed, but his source of life was also damaged. He would have to rest for a few months and spend a lot of resources to recover. In short, the sagely battle god had lost a lot of money. Pitiful bug, you can't even touch the corner of my clothes, and now you're blaming me. Su Yin mocked him mercilessly. Get down here. Su Yin, I'll kill you. The sagely battle god was so angry that his eyes turned red. It was fine that he had lost a lot of money, but he had also embarrassed himself in the entire universe. If you want to die, I'll fulfill your wish. Su Yan's eyes turned cold. The immortal iron rod appeared in his hand. He stood at the peak of God Burial Mountain and waved the huge iron rod. Boom! It was as if a giant pillar had fallen from the sky and smashed towards the sagely battle god with terrifying energy. Please remember the domain name of this book, Jiuqian Divine Emperor. Chapter 908. A violent wave swept over first, filling up the land in all directions. It was like a cosmic comet falling from the sky, filled with a terrifying impact. In a short period of time, the spectating cultivators felt a stabbing pain in their bodies. They all had the mentality of kneeling down. They were frightened and uneasy. They really felt that the sky was falling down, filled with a boundless force that could collapse a vast region. It was hard to imagine that this was just a huge iron staff sweeping through the sky and dragging along a storm of energy. This treasure was covered in a hazy divine light and rippled with a terrifying force. This staff broke through the void and fell from the sky. It pierced through thousands of miles and directly smashed towards the sagely battle god. Su Yin dares to attack the sagely battle god in such a domineering manner. Madman Su is indeed Madman Su. There is nothing in the world that he doesn't dare to do. However, before, the sagely battle god wanted to punch Su Yin. This was also a form of humiliation for Su Yin. Now that Su Yin has made a move, there is no need to say anything more. That's right. The sagely battle god wanted to bully Su Yin by relying on his heavenly deity Dao. In the end, he suffered a big setback. His substitute puppet was destroyed just like that. This is truly heartbreaking. The spectating experts were in an uproar. Some people looked up at the towering figure standing at the peak of buried God Mountain. He seemed to be infinitely tall. An angry roar shook the heavens and earth. The sun and moon lost their light. The light emitted from his body also illuminated this gloomy world with resplendent light. At this moment, Su Yin was relatively powerful and domineering. He directly waved the immortal iron staff and ruthlessly smashed it towards the sagely battle god's head. Boom! The iron staff swept across the sky, carrying the might of thunder and creating a terrifying storm. It was simply like a true dragon swooping down to the lower realm. The rippling light caused many people's bodies to tremble. Their eyes turned black, and they almost fainted on the ground. Just this crazy wave alone was frightening enough. The spectators found it hard to endure. It was hard to imagine just how powerful this staff was. Bastard! The sagely battle god was furious. The withered immortal body released light. He was a first-generation heavenly deity, sky god, and Su Yin was just a god realm expert. Who gave him the guts to attack a sky god? Even if the sagely battle god was severely injured, he would not be afraid of Su Yin. Buzz! In an instant, the sagely battle god's body turned into a golden color. Immortal chi flowed around him. He seemed to have turned into a piece of golden divine metal, unshakable. Under everyone's shocked gaze, the sagely battle god swung his fist at the immortal iron rod that was descending from the sky. At this moment, many people thought that the sagely battle god had gone mad. How could he resist Su Yan's divine weapon? Was this guy made of divine metal? Some people said the indestructible body's strength lies in its physical body. The legendary indestructible body's physical body is comparable to a supreme treasure. When it grows to a certain level, it can even fight against the sacred weapons of supreme beings. What? The indestructible body is that strong? Its physical body is comparable to divine weapons. The crowd lost their colors. Some old experts shook their heads and said, "This is nothing. Every sovereign body has its strong points. First, it needs to grow. Normally, sovereign bodies grow very quickly in the early stages, but become slower and slower in the later stages. But the sagely battle god has already stepped into the sky god realm at such a young age. His control over the indestructible body must be very strong. I think his organs are about to turn into a golden color and are as hard as divine metal." Quite a few cultivators were stupefied, gaining a new type of understanding towards supreme being bodies. In reality, the era when supreme being bodies were powerful was the era when they rose to power. Heavenly deity realm supreme being bodies were freakish and terrifying enough. Their bodies made of copper tendons and iron bones, able to clash head-on with divine weapons. Boom! A thunderous sound exploded just like that. The momentum shook the sky, and the sound waves rolled out in all directions. It contained a suffocating source of energy. Everyone lost their colors. They all saw the sagely battle god's fist collide with the immortal iron rod. With just the strength of his physical body, he actually blocked the immortal iron rod's attack and didn't even move an inch. "If it wasn't for the god Burial Mountain, I would have already killed you," the sagely battle god angrily roared. His eyes were filled with a cold light. His entire body emitted a brilliant light, making him look tall and mighty. The sagely battle god was suddenly heavily injured, but he didn't fear Su Yan at all. He even had the urge to kill Su Yan. "You want to take my attack head on? Let's see how long you can last. Take back your big words." Su Yan sneered. He held the immortal iron rod with one hand and stood on top of the god Burial Mountain, attacking the sagely battle god. Did he really think that this rod only had this much power? One had to know that Su Yan was carrying the god Burial Mountain. He only attacked under the monstrous pressure, so his battle strength was limited. However, this didn't mean that Su Yan couldn't do anything to the sagely battle god. Boom! In an instant, rays of light and terrifying pressure swept across the land. It contained the source of energy that could destroy everything. At this moment, it was as if the sky had been subdued, crushed, and become his own. The moment the immortal iron rod released a sky full of true dragon shadows, the vast sky began to tremble. Boundless power gathered here and pierced through the immortal iron rod, causing this rod to become infinitely bigger. It was filled with energy that could crush everything in the universe. Mystical secret technique. Many people lost their composure. This was definitely a mystical secret technique. The immortal iron rod seemed to have turned into one of Su Yan's hands. It crossed over the god Burial Mountain and connected with the power of heaven and earth. It pierced through the immortal iron rod, causing its aura to explode. Bastard, what did Han Wenxian do? When the Han family's old master saw the scene in the time mirror, his face turned extremely gloomy. He could clearly see that Su Yan's control of the power of heaven had increased by another level. The power of heaven was a secret technique that belonged to the Han family. It was also the foundation of the family. Not to mention outsiders. Even if someone accidentally obtained the inheritance of the power of heaven and earth, they would be secretly destroyed by the Han family. However, the Han family's old master had confirmed that Su Yan had not grasped the profound power of the power of heaven. But now, he saw that Su Yan's Fu Tian Rod Array was even more powerful. This was very important. It was very likely that Han Wenxian, in order to survive, had given Su Yin a lot of the inheritance of the power of heaven. Although it was only a part of it, it was enough to benefit an array formation master for a lifetime. And to Su Yin, a master of mystical arts, it was enough to make him like a tiger that had grown wings. This made the Han family's old master almost explode in anger. They were even worried that Su Yin would step into the Tier 7 realm of mystical arts. Even if his control of the power of heaven was weak, Su Yin's control of the power of heaven was enough for Su Yin to shine in the realm of mystical arts. The iron rod shook gently, and a peerless power leaked out, causing the sagely battle god's body to tremble. He felt like he was going to explode from the force of the immortal iron rod. Roar! He let out a long roar, sensing that he was no match. The power of this immortal iron rod was equivalent to the power of an immortal god. If he met force with force, there was a high possibility that he would be severely injured. Facing the immortal iron rod, the sagely battle god instantly took out a golden cauldron. This golden cauldron was surrounded by thousands of rays of light, and there was the image of a true dragon within it. This was a rare treasure. The moment it was activated, it turned into a dragon cauldron, shaking the sky and hitting the immortal iron rod. Boom! The immortal iron rod and the golden cauldron clashed, creating all kinds of destructive ripples. It was as if two dimensions were clashing. But what made people's scalps go numb was that the immortal iron rod was getting stronger and stronger. At first, the golden cauldron was still able to withstand it, but when the immortal iron rod was about to explode, its power increased. It was as if the immortal iron rod was descending from the 9 heavens. It gathered the vast power of heaven and earth, forming the heaven-subduing rod formation, preparing for an extremely powerful attack. Gotcha! Many people were shocked. The golden cauldron started to shake uncontrollably, and cracks even appeared on its sturdy walls. This treasure could not withstand the immortal iron rod's peerless power. Su Yin was even wilder and more domineering. He continuously swung the immortal iron rod, smashing it down furiously. After 3 rounds of attacks, the cauldron exploded. The surging aura descended from the sky and slashed towards the sagely battle god. ****. The sagely battle god's eyes turned red. That was an incredible treasure, but it was destroyed by Su Yin. The sky was filled with majestic power. Su Yin had cultivated the heaven-subduing rod formation to the pinnacle level. This divine power in history was said to be undefeatable under the Divine King. The moment it was released, it could crush everything in the universe. Everyone's expression changed. The sagely battle god took out his treasures to block. However, one treasure after another was destroyed, causing them to feel extremely pained just looking at it. These things were all extremely valuable. But now, they were all destroyed by Su Yin's immortal iron rod. The entire world was filled with sky-shattering waves. When the terrifying giant pillar descended from the sky again, an extremely domineering source of energy appeared. Just the waves alone were enough to cause the sagely battle god's face to hurt. The sagely battle god coughed out blood. His treasures were all destroyed. In the end, he wore an armor to block it, but the armor was also crushed. His arms blocked the immortal iron rod, but his entire body was shaking. Do you admit defeat? Su Yin stood on top of the god burial mountain, and his cold voice swept down. ****. The sagely battle god roared. If I wasn't heavily injured, you wouldn't be able to block me. Then I'll beat you until you admit defeat. Su Yin's hair danced in the wind. He was extremely domineering. He swung the immortal iron rod again and hit the sagely battle god again and again. His eyes were filled with murderous intent. He attacked 9 times in a domineering manner. It was as if 9 small universes were created. The 9 pillars were about to destroy this space. The boundless territory had collapsed, and the number of jet black cracks was innumerable. Everyone was about to be crushed. They retreated in fear and left the battlefield. Everything was destroyed. Only the sagely battle god was still glowing. But after 9 consecutive hits, he was completely smashed into the ground. "Do you admit defeat?" Su Yin shouted coldly. He looked down at the sagely battle god. His aura was extremely strong, and it filled this destroyed world. Everyone fell to the ground. They couldn't withstand this aura. It was as if they had entered Su Yan's invincible domain. They trembled in fear. "B** starred, "I'll definitely kill you in the future." The sagely battle god's eyes were red. This was a great humiliation. His entire body was smashed into the ground in the process of resisting. "Trash, get out of my way." Su Yin seemed to have returned from the mountain. He swung the immortal iron rod, and a demon appeared in the sky. He was about to smash the sagely battle god into pieces. Dong! This staff finally began to strike down. The earth was split open, and a large fissure ran for thousands of miles. Everything collapsed and was dug up. Nothing existed anymore. Please remember the domain name of this book. 9 Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 909. Suffocating energy fluctuations filled the air, and the vast territory began to break apart. Countless corpses were blasted into ashes. In this gloomy world, the atmosphere became even more oppressive. The experts who had fled the battlefield were all terrified. This was too tyrannical and overbearing. Su Yin stood on top of God Burial Mountain and forcefully bombarded this territory until it was riddled with holes. Everything was heading towards destruction. "Su Yin," some people's voices were trembling. "Who is the battle god? The most powerful expert of a younger generation. Su Yin has already become a supreme. He is really extremely powerful. How many people in the same generation can suppress his peerless aura?" Yes, the sagely battle god suffered a crushing defeat. Although he was already severely injured, his reputation will definitely be tarnished. It is a pity that this elite who had just entered the heavenly god realm suffered a huge loss and had to leave. They all admired him from the bottom of their hearts. Some people even looked at the sagely battle god who had left the battlefield. He no longer had the face to stay here. If the sagely battle god wanted to leave, Su Yin would not be able to stop him, unless he went down the mountain and fought with the sagely battle god. However, the sagely battle god had endured the humiliation and left. This was too big a loss. It was completely different from how he had tried to bully Su Yin previously. Sigh. The experts from the various races who were watching the battle sighed. They could not help but smile bitterly when they saw the sagely battle god leave in a hurry. Why did he have to come here and escape in a sorry state? It was really tragic, especially the divine firmament sex experts. They wanted to curse. Why did you act so arrogantly? In the end, you were severely injured by the god burial mountain. Otherwise, how could the sagely battle god have suffered such a crushing defeat? After all, he had already entered the heavenly god realm. How could he lose to Su Yin? In any case, the sagely battle god had lost a lot of face. Even the divine firmament sex fantasy of taking away King Flash was mercilessly destroyed by Su Yin. Su Yin stood tall on God Burial Mountain. He was already infinitely close to the peak. His cold eyes swept across the divine firmament sex people at the foot of the mountain. They wanted to take away King Flash with just one sage herb? Were they joking? I've changed my mind. Without 200,000 kilograms of chaos elixir, King Flash can stay here forever. Su Yan's cold voice resounded throughout the entire place, causing everyone to be dumbfounded. This was an exorbitant demand, but it was simply too frightening. This was equivalent to robbing the Divine Firmament sect, cutting off their flesh. Would the Divine Firmament sect agree to Su Yan's demands? Unless the Divine Firmament sect had really gone mad. Su Yan, the 3 old experts from the Divine Firmament sect were livid. They were so angry that their bodies were trembling. Damn it, 200,000 chaos liquid? It was impossible for the Divine Firmament sect to take out 50,000 kilograms of chaos elixir, let alone 200,000. King Flash, who was lying halfway up the mountain, was in a terrible state. The little essence blood in his body was about to be completely exhausted. He let out a beast-like roar. He was so angry that he almost died. 200,000 kilograms of chaos elixir was an impossible amount. The Divine Firmament sect would not pay such a heavy price for him. Even if the Divine Firmament sect was a peak sect with deep pockets, if they wanted to take out 200,000 kilograms of chaos elixir in one go, they would need to use up more than half of their sect resources. What's wrong? Is there a problem? Su Yin knocked the immortal iron staff, as if he was about to hit them. This made the Divine Firmament sect's experts retreat in fear. They did not dare to stay here any longer. They were worried that Su Yin would really go crazy and kill them too. After all, the gap between them and the sagely battle god was too big. At the same time, they glanced at King Flash with a hint of hesitation in their hearts. Were they really going to give up on King Flash and let him die on God Burial Mountain? Su Yan's eyes narrowed as he secretly made a move. King Flash, who was struggling on the verge of death, suddenly stood up like a zombie. His extremely weak body suddenly glowed, and a terrifying light vaguely rose from the depths of his flesh shell. It was a terrifying change. King Flash seemed to have transformed into a bolt of lightning that could destroy the world. He revealed a supreme divine aura that could pierce through the sky and suppress all the kings of his generation. The Divine Firmament sect's experts who had retreated were all shocked. They looked at King Flash in surprise. They vaguely felt that King Flash had opened some kind of treasure. In particular, the scene shown by the space-time mirror made the Divine Firmament sect's divine king gasp violently. He said in shock, "King Flash has improved his cultivation of heavenly lightning in a desperate situation. Is he really going to transform into heavenly lightning?" The heavenly lightning's extremely profound domain was that one could transform into heavenly lightning and control the heavenly tribulation. This was the struggle of breaking through to the heavenly God realm. It also meant that one would cultivate to an extremely terrifying level in the heavenly God realm. As long as he could take this step, then King Flash would really have a terrifying foundation and battle strength. That must be it. King Flash is going to rise in adversity. King Flash's changes were shocking. The Divine Firmament sect's upper echelons were all excited and shocked. It must be because King Flash had comprehended something in a desperate situation and had grown in adversity. We must save King Flash. His potential has been unearthed, and there's hope for him to step into the heavenly supremacy realm in the future. That's right. Any future Overlord has to experience endless bloody storms, failures, and setbacks. They have to go through countless setbacks before they can climb to the peak. Our race's King Flash will definitely be such an expert in the future, erupting in adversity and awakening in adversity. King Flash has a chance of becoming a mighty figure in the future. King Flash's changes made the Divine Firmament sect once again place high hopes on him. His fighting spirit had not been extinguished, and he could continue to awaken stronger battle strength. This made the Divine Firmament sect look forward to it 1,000 times more. Su Yin, the Divine Firmament sect's old expert, who was far away from God Burial Mountain, turned back once again and said in an excited tone, "I think it's better if we do this. Look, our race's King Flash can't hold on for too long. Let's send a batch of chaotic treasure liquid over now and let him survive first. I'll come back in a few days. What do you think?" Of course, I'm fair in doing business. Su Yan's words made the Divine Firmament sect's experts' face turn green. Doing business? Are you treating King Flash as a commodity? However, none of them dared to retort. They immediately tossed out a spatial treasure. Su Yan reached out and grabbed it. There was 1,000 kilograms of primal chaos treasure liquid inside. It was enough for the Lightning King to last for a few more days. When the rich and surging life essence landed on King Flash's body. The moment it landed on King Flash's withered body, his heart, which had already accepted his fate, was instantly revived. He greedily absorbed the chaotic treasure liquid's energy, thinking that he was already saved. However, when King Flash came back to his senses, he was dumbfounded. Why was he still on God Burial Mountain? King Flash had no idea what had happened before. It was Su Yin who had controlled King Flash. After all, Su Yin was proficient in all Daos. He had used the chaotic sea eye to manifest lightning from the heavens, making the divine firmament sect's experts think that King Flash was about to awaken in adversity. One had to say that it was very laughable. Of course, the divine firmament sect's upper echelons did not know that Su Yin had mastered the heavenly lightning. Even if Su Yin used the heavenly lightning, the divine firmament sect would not think that it was their race's most powerful divine ability. Let's go and report this to the family. The divine firmament sect's experts hurriedly retreated. At the same time, they set up a spatial array here so that they could rush here immediately. They were burning with anxiety. King Flash wanted to rise in adversity, so they had to save him. This matter also had to be settled with the family. The top experts of the race would only come to a conclusion after a discussion. They could not make this decision at all. Let's wait. Su Yin sat cross-legged on God Burial Mountain and waited patiently. He was not in a hurry to devour the chaotic treasure liquid. Su Yin did not lack cultivation resources now, but he urgently needed them in the future. If he could snatch a large amount of chaotic treasure liquid from the divine firmament sect, he would not have to worry about future cultivation resources. Since he had nothing to do, Su Yin solemnly took out the Han family's most precious treasure. An ancient Tao diagram appeared in front of Su Yin. The Tao diagram had existed for an unknown period of time. It emitted an ancient aura and was rather well preserved. Dense and mysterious patterns were engraved on the Tao diagram. This was the painstaking work left behind by an 8th-stage great grandmaster. It was equivalent to him pressing his hand here, emitting a suffocating wave of energy. Although the Tao diagram's power had dissipated greatly, it still had an extremely strong power. It could easily suppress the Divine King. Even a half-step mighty would most likely turn green when they saw this Tao diagram. Su Yin's eyes scanned the various mysterious patterns engraved on the Tao diagram. During the process of observing, he was silent. It was as if he saw the heavens, the universe, and space-time appear in his mind. In an instant, Su Yin felt like his primordial spirit was about to be shattered by the Tao diagram's charm. This moved and shocked him. Su Yin's primordial spirit was about to be destroyed during the process of observing the Tao diagram. An 8th-stage great grandmaster is really terrifying. He has reached the pinnacle. Su Yin was amazed and then sighed. It's a pity that my primordial spirit is not strong enough to see through the mysteries within. This Tao diagram must have recorded the Heavenly Force chapter, but deciphering it is as difficult as ascending to the heavens. Su Yin had never thought of deciphering it. Whether he could obtain the Heavenly Force chapter in the future would depend on luck. And this sky-subduing staff formation. Perhaps there are even more profound secrets. Could it be that the Han family has a collection of the subsequent chapters? Su Yin had already cultivated the sky-subduing staff formation to a certain extent, but he felt that this secret technique left behind in history was not limited to this. Perhaps the Han family had a collection of future chapters. I miscalculated. I should have used Han Wenxian to trade for the subsequent chapters. However, Han Wenxian's status is not as honorable as King Flash's. Su Yin thought to himself. 3 days and 3 nights had passed. He wondered how the divine firmament sect discussion was going. In fact, the moment King Flash got up, the divine firmament sect's upper echelons had already begun their discussion. King Flash has risen in adversity. We must save him. However, Su Yin is asking for too much. He wants 100,000 kilograms of chaos treasure liquid. This is absolutely impossible. 200,000 kilograms is simply impossible. Even if the Ancestral Hall's Zhu Tian captured him, the Ancestral Hall would not give up 200,000 kilograms of chaos treasure liquid. Although the Divine Firmament sect had such a foundation, it was impossible for them to take it out. Once they handed over 200,000 kilograms, it would be equivalent to crippling the Divine Firmament sect's long years of accumulation. In the future, if they wanted to spend resources to nurture other young disciples, they would not have enough resources. It would easily cause their tribe to decline in the future. In short, the Divine Firmament sect's upper echelons were very worried. They wanted to save King Flash, but they did not want to pay a heavy price. They had no other choice. Even the sagely battle god from the Tao Hall had appeared but had been defeated and fled. Now, the only way to save King Flash was for the Divine Firmament sect to pay a price. Please remember the domain name of this book, Nine Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 9:10. Su Yin waited for 5 days and 5 nights. He was really getting impatient. Isn't this delaying things? Su Yin looked at the young cultivators of the Divine Firmament sect who were waiting here. Under Su Yin's gaze, they felt a chill run down their spines. They felt a chill in their hearts, as if they were being targeted. How hateful! Su Yin is waiting here to collect money, but he's still not satisfied. Yeah, it's only been 5 days, and Su Yin is actually getting impatient. This is too hateful. The few young experts braced themselves and did not dare to say anything. At the same time, they were wary of Su Yin. They were really worried that he would kill them directly. Now, the whole world was paying attention. They want to know if the Divine Firmament sect would pay the price to save King Flash. If they really did pay the price, it would be equivalent to bowing down to Su Yin. It was really ridiculous for a peak sect to bow down to Su Yin. Send someone over to negotiate. Anyway, the Divine Firmament sect will take back today's humiliation 1,000 times in the future. That's right. King Flash rose in adversity and will definitely reach the peak. In the future, he will definitely not be weaker than Su Yin. Even the Divine Firmament planet's origin mark has been strong since ancient times. It will definitely help King Flash transform. Yeah, what does Su Yin have? The future path of the Immortal State King is a competition of foundation. Now, Sun is just showing off for a while. It's hard to say what will happen in the future. As the saying goes, every dog has its day. Su Yin will definitely pay a painful price for what he did today. Sooner or later, the Divine Firmament sect will wake him up. The Divine Firmament sect's upper echelons gritted their teeth in hatred. They were a peak sect that commanded a region of the universe and controlled hundreds of star regions. Now, they had actually bowed down to Su Yin. This humiliation was enough to make the Divine Firmament sect remember it for generations to come. Of course, King Flash's value was shocking enough. Otherwise, the Divine Firmament sect would not have spent a drop of chaotic treasure liquid. Another day passed, and Su Yin was really impatient. He was restless, and his unfriendly eyes kept looking at the young experts of the Divine Firmament sect. If these people dared to retreat, he would directly kill them. I think Su Yin can't wait any longer. He has his eyes on us. F***CK, there's no justice. He can't wait for more than a few days. Is there any law and order in this world? These youths from the Divine Firmament sect were furious. Their faces and necks were red, but they did not dare to move. They were really worried that Su Yin would kill them all. All of a sudden, the silent space array lit up, rippling with space-time ripples. This made Su Yin's eyes light up. The experts of the Divine Firmament sect had come. It seemed that they were prepared to pay a price to ransom him. Su Yin waited patiently, no longer showing any signs of impatience. This made those young people so angry that they wanted to curse. Looks like the Divine Firmament sect is prepared to ransom him. King Flash is too important to them. However, King Flash has suffered 2 crushing defeats. It will be difficult for him to rise again in the future. I'm afraid his fighting spirit has been wiped out. That's right. However, King Flash is a paragon of a star region after all. If they can save him, the Divine Firmament sect will definitely think of a way. Losing is actually not scary. What's scary is losing his fighting spirit. I wonder if King Flash will be able to rise again in the future. A peak sect had spent countless resources to nurture King Flash. If there were no accidents, King Flash could rise again. After all, there were always some rare treasures in the world that could help people cultivate and seize the fortune and opportunities in the world. A peak sect had been passed down for a long time, so they definitely had such treasures in their hands. At that moment, a figure appeared in the Divine Firmament sect space array. Vaguely, an ancient divine aura spread out and swept through the area, shocking the onlookers. It seemed like the Divine Firmament sect was determined to save King Flash. This was because the person who had come was a divine king. He had used a special method to seal the divine king's Tao fruit. It was similar to Han Zhongming's situation previously. However, it was very risky. The Divine Firmament sect also had hostile factions. If the Divine King died in such a situation, they would suffer a great loss. The person who walked out was dressed in a wind and thunder robe. He had an awe-inspiring divine might, and he exuded an awe-inspiring majesty. When he saw the Lightning King lying on the mountainside, his body withered and his life aura about to completely dissipate. Boundless anger rippled in his heart. This Divine King was one of King Flash's masters. He held a high position in the Divine Firmament sect. Lei Jinhe. Some people were shocked. This was the Divine Firmament sect's deputy sect master. It was said that he had cultivated to the peak of the Divine King and was infinitely close to becoming a mighty figure. In the future, there was a glimmer of hope for him to transcend the realm of mighty figures. No one had expected Lei Jinhe to come out personally. He really put down his old face. Lei Jinhe walked out of the spatial array. His eyes were as calm as water as he looked at Su Yan. He said calmly, "I am Lei Jinhe. Fellow Taoist, Su Yan's name is really well known. Meeting you today, you are indeed a dragon among men." Lei Jinhe was not deliberately flattering Su Yan. Now, Su Yan was indeed worthy of such an evaluation. He was valued by the peak experts of the Divine King. Such a person was basically on the same level as the Divine King. Speaking of the feud between the Divine Firmament sect and Su Yan, Lei Jinhe smiled bitterly. In fact, it was not a big deal in the beginning. Now that things had developed to this point, the Divine Firmament sect was also very helpless. Why did they provoke this lunatic in the first place? Moreover, no one had expected Su Yan to forcefully step into the Chaos Channel. In just a few months, he had even set off a bloody storm and done many terrifying things. Moreover, he was directly recognized by the world as a supreme heavens, possessing the peak combat strength of his peers. Now, he even monopolized the God Burial Mountain and looked down on all the heroes in the world. Who would dare to underestimate the current Su Yan? Don't be so polite. Su Yan replied calmly. You are the Divine King of this generation. I'm afraid your status in the Divine Firmament sect is very high. You should also know my conditions. Fellow Taoist, Su Yan, 100,000 caddies of Chaos Treasure Liquid is absolutely impossible. Lei Jinhe strode over and glanced at King Flash. He said, You are asking for too much. Even a mighty figure can't have so much Chaos Treasure Liquid. Then why are you here? Are you here to send King Flash off? Su Yan sneered. Haha, Su Yan. Lei Jinhe negotiated with him calmly. Actually, the enmity between us is really a bit laughable. Back then, you saved King Flash, and our Divine King blocked you. It was indeed immoral, but after all, you had previously severed his bloodline. Of course, no matter what our Divine Firmament sect did previously was indeed beneath our dignity. Lei Jinhe said calmly, Today on the God Burial Mountain, King Flash has suffered enough. Today, I am here to take King Flash away. I said, let's not talk about this nonsense. Su Yan replied coldly. King Flash has repeatedly attacked me. He was defeated by me because he was not as strong as me. Now that he is on the God Burial Mountain, I can spare his life. However, if you want to take King Flash away, I will not do it without paying a certain price. Remember, you are the one who needs my help now. I know that. After all, King Flash is our sect's only star domain paragon. He is also our Divine Firmament star domain's future hope. This matter is of great importance. Hearing Lei Jinhe's words, Su Yan sneered. Why? Are you threatening me? Do you really think I don't dare to kill King Flash? Lei Jinhe's expression turned slightly cold. He really did not believe that Su Yan would dare to kill King Flash. At most, he would let Su Yan exhaust himself here. After all, King Flash's identity and status were different from Han Wenxian and the others. Killing King Flash was equivalent to destroying the Divine Firmament sect's hope for a generation. It was equivalent to enraging the Divine Firmament sect's mighty figures. Would Su Yan really dare to kill King Flash? Mighty figures had a transcendent status. The mighty figures of the Ancestral Hall and the Dark Nether race had stood out to target Su Yin because of the grudges between their ancestors that had accumulated over a long period of time. They did not have any status. However, mighty figures had a supreme status and basically would not interfere with the younger generation's killing. If King Flash really died in Su Yan's hands, the significance would be different. At that time, the Divine Firmament sect would definitely target the Burial Realm race. Su Yin, I don't want to say anything else. Lei Jinhe endured the humiliation in his heart and said in a deep voice, I can make the decision. I'll give you 5,000 kilograms of Chaos Treasure Liquid in exchange for letting King Flash go. How about that? Ha ha ha. Su Yin laughed angrily. He stared at Lei Jinhe and laughed. You want me to do it for 5,000 kilograms of Chaos Treasure Liquid? Are you trying to send a beggar away? The surrounding people were also speechless. The Divine Firmament sect had really come to ransom them, and even paid the price. In fact, the Divine Firmament sect had already lowered their heads. This was a great humiliation for a peak race and the ridicule from the outside world. However, they still lowered their heads and took out 5,000 kilograms of Chaos Treasure Liquid to ransom them. Su Yin, Lei Jinhe said angrily, 5,000 kilograms of Chaos Treasure Liquid. Do you know what kind of wealth that is? I want 200,000 kilograms, but you only took out 5,000 kilograms of Chaos Treasure Liquid. I don't see any sincerity at all. Su Yin said coldly, I think you should leave. Don't disturb my cultivation here. You. Lei Jinhe's expression was ugly as he said in a deep voice, How much do you want? Tell me straight. Lei Jinhe was furious when he noticed that Su Yin had stopped talking and was sitting cross-legged to begin cultivating. Su Yin was ignoring him. However, the longer they delayed, the more danger King Flash would be in. The situation had already reached a critical point and could not be delayed any longer. 15,000 kilograms. How about this? Lei Jinhe gritted his teeth, his heart aching terribly. What did 15,000 kilograms of Chaos Treasure Liquid mean? He had never owned so much Chaos Treasure Liquid in his life. He was the Divine Firmament sect's deputy sect master. Even someone as powerful as him did not have such a huge amount of wealth. The surrounding people gasped violently. This was a huge amount of wealth that even the Divine King was jealous of. When he noticed that Su Yin was still silent, Lei Jinhe's aura surged uncontrollably. He wanted to barge into God Burial Mountain and kill Su Yin with his own hands. That should be enough, right? Some people hoped to complete this transaction as soon as possible. Lunatic Su was still cultivating with a huge amount of resources. I'll add another 5,000 kilograms of Chaos Treasure material. Lei Jinhe clenched his fists so tightly that crackling sounds could be heard. The blood essence in his body began to boil uncontrollably. The price he had to pay was too heavy. Su Yin continued to remain silent, causing Lei Jinhe's expression to turn frighteningly ugly. He shouted angrily, What do you want? Give me a straight answer. Su Yin, don't push your luck. My Divine Firmament sect is not to be trifled with. Su Yin suddenly opened his eyes and stared coldly at Lei Jinhe. At the same time, he secretly attacked. King Flash, who was full of anticipation, suddenly screamed. His body was about to be destroyed, transforming into a bolt of lightning that could destroy heaven and earth. All right, this scene made Lei Jinhe roar in his heart. This was a sign of endless potential. King Flash's foundation was becoming more and more terrifying after awakening in adversity. What's going on? King Flash's entire body trembled uncontrollably. Then, great fear emerged in his heart. This was the profundity of the lightning of heaven. How could Su Yin control the lightning of heaven? He knew very well that only Su Yin could control it. King Flash was dumbfounded. How could it be so ridiculous? How could Su Yin control the lightning of heaven? 40,000 kilograms of Chaos Treasure Liquid and 20,000 kilograms of Chaos Treasure material. Lei Jinhe growled. If you agree, then it's fine. If not, then there's nothing to talk about. Su Yin, say something. Please remember the domain name of this book, Nine Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 911. SSS. The onlooking cultivators were all trembling, and their legs turned to jelly. They really cannot walk. The price they had paid was too heavy and terrifying. 40,000 liters of chaos treasure liquid and 20,000 liters of chaos treasure material. Even a half-step mighty would not be able to fork out such a huge amount of wealth. However, the Divine Firmament sect was really willing to pay. This also showed that the foundation of the peak tribes was really boundless. In this era of eternal strength, the peak tribes were getting stronger with each generation. It was not too difficult for the Divine Firmament sect to fork out such resources. CK, they're really rich. The Divine Firmament sect has spent a lot of money. Is it worth it for King Flash? The several veteran heavenly deities present were all trembling, their bodies trembling. In order to save King Flash, the Divine Firmament sect had actually spent so much wealth. In fact, it was not particularly difficult for the Divine Firmament sect to fork out such resources. However, it was just to buy a chance for Su Yin to help. This was even more terrifying than the 3 half-step mighty figures. Leijinha's face darkened. They had already reached the limit of what they could do. Any more, and they would alarm the mighty figures. Get the mighty figures of the Divine Firmament sect to agree and fork out resources to save King Flash. The Almighties would definitely not agree, and they would definitely not lower their heads. Lowering their heads to Su Yin was not that crazy. You're still not agreeing. When he saw that Su Yin had not nodded, Leijinha was really anxious. His eyes were red. If he still did not agree, King Flash would really be hopeless. In fact, the Lightning King really wanted to shout out that the reason why Leijinha was so willing to bid was because of the potential he had released. However, the Lightning King had a dumbfounded look on his face. This wasn't his strength. Now, he understood that Su Yin was secretly causing trouble for him. This caused the Lightning King to feel despair. How could Su Yin control the lightning of the heavens? This was the most powerful divine power that had been passed down for a long time. Could it be? King Flash was terrified. Could it be because of the origin mark? But he felt that it was impossible. It was impossible for Su Yin to take his origin mark for himself. Otherwise, the world would be in chaos. After all, in the era when the peak races were always strong, the origin mark was enough to represent the long history of a star area. Just like the ancestral heaven mark in the ancestral hall, it was the flame of hope for their inheritance. Once it was taken away, the aristocratic families would go crazy. However, King Flash could not figure out how Su Yin could control the heavenly lightning. Furthermore, this lightning profound of the heavens seemed to be even more proficient than him. This made the Lightning King wish he could find a piece of tofu and kill himself. Why did he have to suffer all this? Su Yan's silence gave Leijinha a headache. He could only spend these resources and couldn't take out more. How about this? Leijinha's voice was a little hoarse. Su Yan, I'll use a universe secret realm to trade with you. What do you mean by that? Su Yan frowned. Leijinha's words were said very carefully and cautiously. He emitted a powerful aura that isolated Su Yan from the rest of the conversation and attracted Su Yan's attention. The value of a universe secret realm was immeasurable. The Divine Firmament sect was willing to spend a universe secret realm? Seeing Su Yan responding to him, Leijinha really wanted to cry. He immediately said, "Of course, you can't take away a universe secret realm even if I give you one. I can tell you the location of a universe secret realm and even a great opportunity hidden inside. Tell me about it?" Su Yan was tempted. Actually, it sounds like a universe secret realm, but it's actually an incomplete universe. Leijinha's words were shocking and attracted Su Yan's attention. A clue to an incomplete universe? This information was very shocking. There's a mysterious item in this world called the reincarnation fruit. When Leijinha said this, his voice was trembling. He believed that Su Yan knew what the reincarnation fruit was. Reincarnation fruit. Su Yan found it hard to believe. How could he not know about this kind of treasure? It was rumored that once the reincarnation fruit was swallowed, it would allow one to undergo a reincarnation cycle, which was equivalent to living another life. and this life would fix all the previous flaws and deficiencies. This was an incomparably terrifying secret medicine. It was a treasure that even the Almighty would covet. This made Su Yin feel apprehensive. He calmed himself down and said, "How do I know if what you said is true or false? Are you lying to me? Moreover, even if it's a reincarnation fruit, how can I not know if it's a place of death?" Su Yan's words made Lei Zhenhe solemnly say, "If I say anything false, I will die a horrible death in the future. I can swear on my great Tao original heart. If I say anything false, I will die a horrible death." Su Yin reluctantly believed him. Swearing on one's great Tao original heart was equivalent to swearing on the great Tao of the universe. Some things had to be believed. "All right, if you can give me information that satisfies me, I will relent and allow the Lightning King to leave the mountain." Su Yin also nodded. "Great." Lei Zhenhe was overjoyed and immediately said, "This reincarnation fruit was discovered by the experts of my sect in the last universe era. At that time, the reincarnation fruit was not ripe, but in this universe era, it is definitely ripe. Aren't you going to pick it yourselves?" Su Yin frowned. The value of the reincarnation fruit could not be measured by money. There would be people who would pay hundreds of thousands of chaotic treasure liquids, or even more to buy it. Lei Zhen has said with a wry smile, "You've seen the Lightning King situation. He won't be able to compete for hegemony in the coming years. The reincarnation fruit is not only in our hands, but also in other forces." Su Yan's face darkened slightly. So that was the case. Then the other factions were also strong enough to make the Divine Firmament sect extremely wary. "Su Yin, this is a reincarnation fruit. How great of an opportunity and fortune is it?" Lei Zhen has said in a low voice, "I don't need to say more about the value of this information. You should be clear about it." Even if Su Yin had enemies everywhere, he would still compete for hegemony if he knew about the reincarnation fruit. After all, this thing was enough for Su Yin to pay a heavy price. If he could really obtain the reincarnation fruit, it would be a heaven-defying opportunity. "If you send King Flash down the mountain, I can give you specific information about the reincarnation fruit." Lei Zhen has said expectantly. Unexpectedly, Su Yin swung his sleeves, and his palms suddenly enlarged. It directly pierced through the mountainside of God Burial Mountain and grabbed King Flash, who was about to die. Immediately after, Su Yin directly threw King Flash down the mountain in front of everyone's dumbfounded eyes. King Flash, the young experts from the Divine Firmament sect, were all excited. King Flash was thrown down. He was saved. Many people were shocked that he was thrown down just like that. Even Lei Zhenhe was a little shocked from the bottom of his heart. Su Yin was too confident and decisive. He had not paid any price, but Su Yin had already sent King Flash down the mountain. This was Su Yan's confidence. He was not afraid of them escaping at all. If Lei Zhenhe did not know what was good for him and fled with King Flash, he would not mind killing them all. The reincarnation fruit is worth fighting for. Su Yan's heart was burning with passion as he muttered to himself, "This is an immortal treasure. It's worth more than a mighty figure's sacred weapon. It's a supreme treasure that can make mighty figures go crazy. It can allow one to cultivate again and reincarnate again." At this moment, Lei Zhenhe also threw 3 spatial rings over. Su Yin raised his hand and caught them. After checking, he found that there were 15,000 liters of chaos treasure liquid inside. "Su Yin, I'll definitely send it over in the next 3 days. This is the information about the reincarnation fruit." Su Yin listened and waited for Lei Zhenhe to finish. He felt that Lei Zhenhe was not lying. In fact, he could not guarantee that Lei Zhenhe would exchange his life for his. However, Lei Zhenhe directly described the scene of the race's experts discovering the reincarnation fruit in the previous universe era. This made Su Yan's heart beat faster. It seemed that the reincarnation fruit was most likely true. However, there were corresponding conditions and times for the opening of an incomplete universe. When the time came, the fight for supremacy in this place would definitely be more intense than the Chaos Channel. The young overlords would all fight for their lives. Is it right or wrong? Lei Zhenhe sighed in his heart. He did not know if telling Su Yin about the reincarnation fruit was the right thing to do. The news about the reincarnation fruit was indeed true. However, there were several races that knew about it, and their origins were very frightening. Once the fight for it started, who knew how many experts would be killed or injured? Even Su Yin might not be able to do whatever he wanted. It was even very likely that he would die in the fight for the reincarnation fruit. However, what if Su Yin survived and even obtained the reincarnation fruit? Lei Jinhe felt a lingering fear just thinking about it. In the end, he muttered, "I hope that King Flash will not disappoint our race. He can rise up in the face of adversity and lead our race to glory." King Flash was still conscious and felt that he was safe. However, Lei Jinhe's muttering made King Flash panic. Rise up in the face of adversity? The Divine Firmament sect had been schemed against by Su Yin. He was not the one who had released the heavenly lightning. Su Yin was the one behind it. It's over for me." This made King Flash panic, as he did not dare to say that the loss of the heavenly lightning might be related to him, although he did not know why he felt that it was related to him. However, once he said this, Lei Jinhe would definitely go crazy. He reckoned that Lei Jinhe would go crazy. Once this matter was reported to the mighty figures of his race, would King Flash still be able to live? Most importantly, he had already lost his origin mark. If his family found out about this, he did not know what the consequences would be. In short, King Flash felt that the world was gloomy. He was really in despair. Damn it. Su Yin, I'm going to kill you." In the end, King Flash roared in his heart and fainted. He really could not take it anymore and doubted his life. What hope did he have in the future? His fighting spirit was completely wiped out. King Flash, Lei Jinhe, and the others were extremely flustered. They immediately took out secret medicine and started to treat him. Someone praised, "King Flash is indeed King Flash." He rose up in the face of adversity. Now that he has landed safely, he is in a coma. King Flash still relied on his strong willpower to persist until the end. That's right. One is bound to have good fortune after surviving a great disaster. I believe that King Flash will rise up in the future. The Divine Firmament sect's members were all looking forward to King Flash creating glory in the future and washing away the humiliation. Of course, they did not dare to leave now. If they did not send the Chaos Treasure liquid over, Su Yin would not let them leave God Burial Mountain. Please remember the domain name of this book, 9 Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 912. Su Yin waited for another 3 days, and the Divine Firmament sect delivered the resources as promised. Actually, before this, the Divine Firmament sect's upper echelons had thought that it would be better to just leave. After all, they had already formed a huge grudge with Su Yin. They really did not believe that Su Yin could leave God Burial Mountain in a short time. However, at this critical juncture, Lei Jinhe really did not dare to secretly cause trouble. The sagely battle god had been forced away by Su Yin. If any accidents happened, the price they had paid previously would be gone. In short, things had already reached this stage. Lei Jinhe could only spend money with tears in his eyes and work for King Flash. Just like that, the deal was completed. The Divine Firmament sect's hearts were bleeding. The price they had paid was too heavy. It made their hearts ache, and they hated Su Yin to the core. Very little information about this deal was leaked. The group of cultivators who had heard about the deal had been severely warned by the Divine Firmament sect. This matter had become a mystery. The experts of the various large races did not know what price the Divine Firmament sect had paid. However, they had still lowered their heads in the end. This shocked everyone. A dignified peak race had lowered their heads to Su Yin. If news of this spread, there would be a huge laughingstock. The Divine Firmament sect must have paid a huge price for this. They really value the Lightning King highly. This is beyond my expectations. I did not expect Su Yin to be the final winner. He is still sitting on God Burial Mountain. It is said that the experts of the Dao Hall went to negotiate with Su Yin to exchange the secrets of God Burial Mountain, but Su Yin directly rejected them. This fellow did not even give face to the Dao Hall. Could it be that he really has the confidence to climb to the peak of God Burial Mountain? Some people's expressions were uncertain. They wanted to know the secrets of God Burial Mountain, but it would be difficult for them to even climb a mountain. They really did not know how Su Yin had managed to stand on this land of death. The various large races of the Ancestral Hall were no exception. However, Su Yin had been staying on God Burial Mountain. They could not do anything to Su Yin. He moved. Zhu Yuanqing had originally planned on withdrawing the space-time mirror surveillance, but the scene that appeared in the space-time mirror made the expressions of the various important figures outside change. They saw Su Yin suddenly stand up and begin walking towards the mountain peak. From this moment on, the entire place was so silent that even the sound of a pin dropping could be heard. On the other hand, the experts of the Ancestral Hall and the Dark Nether race were faintly ferocious. Su Yin was climbing a mountain. Could he really climb to the top? Some people found it laughable. Shouldn't the future be dominated by the pinnacle clans? Wasn't the competition between the younger generation supposed to be a competition between the northern demons and the others? However, since the opening of the 10 great passageways in the primal chaos ruins until now, they had been constantly paying attention to Su Yin and his growth. Now that he was standing on top of God Burial Mountain, a land of death, every movement he made affected his nerves. Too many people did not want Su Yin to continue. They wanted him to leave the mountain, but Su Yin was stunned and stood still. Moreover, he was getting closer and closer to the mountain peak. He only needed to take a dozen or so steps to reach the peak of God Burial Mountain and witness the unparalleled glory of this danger zone. Boom! With every step he took, the earth quaked and the mountains shook. The sound of thunder exploded. Su Yin seemed to carry the weight of the heavens on his back as he walked. Step after step, his aura erupted. His figure was infinitely grand and magnificent. Finally, Su Yin stood at his peak. He emitted a god-fiend strength that could split the heavens and split the seas. He began to climb towards the peak of God Burial Mountain. Thump! Thump! Su Yin took 5 steps in a row. He withstood a monstrous pressure and carried a crushing pressure. His figure was tall to the extreme. At this moment, his brilliance attracted the attention of all the experts present. With every step, Su Yin found it difficult to breathe. It was as if he had walked for thousands of years. Because it was too unbearable, the exhaustion on his body was also astonishing. We took a total of 9 steps. The entire crowd erupted into an uproar. Even the Divine King's expressions changed. He could actually take a total of 9 steps in succession. Su Yin was now only 3 steps away from the peak. This caused the experts of the various races in the Ancestral Hall to lose control. They roared in anger. They felt that this was impossible. Su Yin would never reach the peak of God Burial Mountain. Boom! With another step, it was as if the heavens and earth were falling apart. The spectating cultivators at the foot of the mountain trembled. They felt as if their bodies would explode. They were frightened to death. They saw Su Yin erupt with limitless power. His head of black hair danced in the wind. The moment his blood energy surged, it was as if the heavens were sinking. However, even with such a strong human strength, Su Yin's treasured body was still trembling slightly. It was as if the stars in the universe were smashing onto his body, wanting to shatter everything about Su Yin. Roar! Su Yin faced the sky and roared. He withstood the limitless pressure and took another step. This step was as if he was stepping on the corpses of gods and demons. The peerless impact caused Su Yin's body to tremble. He spat out a mouthful of blood, and cracks appeared on his body. It was as if he was going to be torn to pieces. This terrifying pressure caused Su Yin's entire body to tremble. He won't make it. The Han family's old grandmaster sneered. How can a danger zone be so easily broken through? Su Yin cannot reach the peak. Although he is still a step away, the difficulty of these last 3 steps is as great as the difference between heaven and earth. Moreover, even if he does reach the peak, he is still a crucial step away from reaching the peak. Some people nodded in agreement. A Monster Region powerhouse sneered and said, Su Yin grasps this secret, and yet he can't unearth the good fortune within. How laughable! If my clan's northern monster were here, he would definitely be able to break through the limit and reach the peak. Some people saw this joke and relaxed inwardly. They could see Su Yan's current problem. Moreover, more than a year had already passed, and he was still pacing back and forth here. This meant that Su Yan had already reached his limit. He's moving again. Many people were shocked. Their eyes widened as they saw Su Yan take an important step forward. The moment his feet touched the ground, God Burial Mountain seemed to rumble on its own. It was like a giant that had been slumbering for billions of years was quietly awakening. This was an aura that caused the world to prostrate in worship. As it spread out, the surrounding cultivators at the foot of God Burial Mountain were all paralyzed on the ground. They were all bowing towards the peak of God Burial Mountain. This was because there was a great fear in their hearts. They didn't dare to look at God Burial Mountain because they felt as if they would perish if they looked. It really was like a monarch that overlooked the world was awakening. His divine might was matchless and could not be blasphemed. They didn't even have the qualifications to look at his elegant demeanor. God Burial Mountain seemed to have a life of its own. It was magnificent to the extreme. It towered between the heavens and earth and could be called an overlord that overlooked the past, present, and future. It caused all living beings in the universe to tremble in fear. Even the images in the space-time mirror were blurry. But they could also see that Su Yan's body was splitting apart. His entire body was about to explode into a bloody mist. Su Yan reared his head back and roared. This sort of extreme pressure made Su Yan feel as if he was walking towards death. He couldn't control his body, and it was about to break apart. Soon, he will be crushed into a bloody mist. Su Yan is finished. He will perish on God Burial Mountain. He clearly had the chance to leave the mountain, but he didn't. He even wanted to break through this danger zone and unearth the good fortune within. How laughable. Good fortune is accompanied by death. It's clear that Su Yan's strength isn't enough to withstand the good fortune. Some people sneered, and some people had complex feelings. After all, once Su Yan perished on God Burial Mountain, his secrets would be buried forever. Moreover, his massive wealth would also be buried on the Demon Mountain. This sort of pressure that caused all living beings in the universe to feel despair was completely pressing down on Su Yan's shoulders. There is only one way to describe it: to die a horrible death. Su Yan was enduring the danger of having his body and bones crushed. However, in this desperate situation, his primordial spirit finally began to erupt. Drops of green-colored treasure liquid bloomed in his sea of consciousness. They burned, and an extremely exuberant soul spirit emerged. These drops of primordial spirit medicines were supreme primordial spirit treasures that people yearned for even in their dreams. This was the essence of divine medicines and could even allow one's primordial spirit to evolve. And now, Su Yan had taken out all the essence of these primordial spirit medicines. After igniting them, the blue liquid that was born began to swarm towards Su Yan's primordial spirit. In that instant, Su Yan's body froze. This also included his primordial spirit. His bloody body also began to emit a sweet fragrance. Su Yan's forehead was translucent, and it was as if a divine jade liquid had been born within. It gushed out with misty light and was incomparably beautiful. An astonishing display was that when Su Yan's primordial spirit swallowed, his golden soul body blazed with a great deal of heat. It was like a small sun that was rapidly expanding. Uncontrollable, pure soul energy gushed out from within. Bang! Su Yan's primordial spirit seemed to open the heavens in the primal chaos. As he roared, a rain of light appeared. His primordial spirit transformed into a great Buddha that sat cross-legged in the future, chanting the runes of the great Tao. The primordial spirit that was originally sitting in the future was blurry. But now, because it was nourished by the primordial spirit medicines, it became increasingly clear and resplendent. Moreover, it carried with it the pressure of time and space. It was like a torrential flood of the future was sweeping through the world, filled with an unfathomable and world-shaking divine might. The golden primordial spirit swallowed 9 mouthfuls in a row. He swallowed all of the primordial spirit treasure liquid. From this moment onwards, Su Yan's golden primordial spirit had increased by a large margin. His soul chi surged and was suffused with a terrifying soul chi. He could easily erupt with an unparalleled, peerless attack. It was as if the Divine King's primordial spirit was awakening. His soul energy soared into the sky, and his golden soul body was intertwined with thousands of heavenly marks. His aura was like that of the only true God in the world. He looked solemn and dignified, like a great Buddha that was about to deliver all living beings from torment. His primordial spirit had completely transformed. It had been greatly nourished and had become several times stronger. His immortal will could cover everything within 100,000 miles. No wind or grass could hide from him. When the vast power of the primordial spirit spread to Su Yan's blood-stained body, it was magnified several times. At this moment, he felt that his constitution had been magnified countless times. His figure was broad and tall, as if he were the only one in the world. Under the observation of his primordial spirit, Su Yan discovered that there were many problems and flaws in his cultivation. His physical body even contained some physical treasures that had yet to be opened. They were in a sealed state. Looking at them, it was as if he was looking at a condensed universe hidden in his body. Boom! Su Yan had fully recovered. He swallowed the primordial spirit liquids desperately to make up for his shortcomings and excavate the treasures in his body at the same time. He knew that he was about to undergo a great transformation. Chapter 9:13. At the peak of God Burial Mountain, where corpses were piled up like mountains, a divine light suddenly appeared. The scene changed too quickly. The scene projected by the space-time mirror made the experts of the various races gasp. Some people were speechless, especially the divine firmament sect's experts, whose faces were gloomy. These were their resources, and now Su Yan was squandering them. Now, Su Yan seemed to be struggling, but he had sacrificed endless resources. Who knew how much chaos treasure liquid had been ignited by Su Yan, causing a shocking scene to appear on God Burial Mountain. Endless energy gushed out like a million volcanoes erupting together. The vast chaotic aura pierced through the sky, extremely resplendent. Moreover, chaos dragons appeared one after another, coiling between heaven and earth, spewing chaotic power. The energy was so exuberant that it made one's hair stand on end. Su Yan unleashed an immeasurable amount of resources, which was equivalent to burning 10,000 drops of primal chaos liquid. This scene was shocking, and even the eyes of divine kings turned red. If they could devour the immeasurable amount of essence, their lifespan would definitely increase explosively, and their foundations would be strengthened. This kind of extravagant method was truly hard to come by in all of history. However, now that it had been activated by Su Yan, it was as if he was sitting on a chaotic ocean. Extremely pure chaotic power coiled around his body, running through his limbs and bones. There's no justice in this world. The Divine King's face turned green. The chaos treasure liquid was surging like a tide. Did the peak heroes of the various races receive such treatment? However, now that Su Yan had unleashed all of it, he wanted to break through in the most domineering manner possible. What a waste, what a waste. A dead person is really too wasteful. Some people felt that Su Yan was struggling at death's door, vainly trying to extend his life with the chaos treasure liquid. No one felt that Su Yan was trying to break through. How many resources did the Divine Firmament sect give to rescue King Flash? Some people looked at the group of gloomy experts from the Divine Firmament sect. These people from the Ancestral Hall all had unfriendly expressions. They had provided Su Yan with a huge amount of resources. Fortunately, Su Yan was trapped in a desperate situation. Otherwise, it would be quite troublesome. Hurry up and die. The upper echelons of the Divine Firmament sect had ugly expressions. The price they had paid was much more terrifying than they had imagined. Su Yan had only used a portion of it. If he had used all of it, it would have been enough to make even a half-step Almighty jealous. Su Yan's messy hair draped over his shoulders. He sat cross-legged at the foot of the mountain peak, withstanding the pressure of the world incinerating. At the same time, he was using the immeasurable primal chaos liquid to temper his body. Why'd he choose to break through here? Because the pressure here was strong enough. It was enough to show Su Yan's inadequacies. However, Su Yan caught it with his primordial spirit and used his boundless essence qi to forcefully reforge his corporeal body. He wanted to stand at the absolute peak and dig out the treasures in his body. This would take a very long time, and it was not something that could be completed in just a few days. But Su Yan had a massive amount of resources, enough for him to squander. He calmly went into seclusion, his entire being immersed in his mortal body. He silently tempered his mortal body and repaired its flaws. Time slowly passed. 3 days had passed, but Su Yan still did not move. The primal chaos liquid's essence did not weaken at all. This was a shocking scene. It was hard to imagine that Su Yan had accumulated such a strong foundation. However, the 10 chaos passageways were not quiet at all. Ever since the 9th chaos divine mountain's creation dissipated, the other divine mountain's creation had also completely dissipated. Recently, the 3rd chaos divine mountain shone brightly as if a world-burning fire had been born. It shocked the cultivators in the 3rd chaos passageway. They looked at the peak of the chaos divine mountain and saw that it really seemed to be burning. Oh my God! All living beings turned pale as they saw the suns in the outer realms sink and be swallowed by the sea of fire. A figure was also born from it. Its divine might was monstrous as it bathed in the divine flames of the 9 heavens. Its aura was blazing. It was incomparably hot, and the temperature it emitted was terrifying. It could easily evaporate an ocean. When it awakened to the extreme, huge suns appeared behind it. Sun Dome, the great figures were all stunned. This was the 9 Yang Sex Yang Qiong, who was trying to break through against the heavens. People could vaguely see that the Yang Qiong had turned into a flame that could burn the primordial chaos. It emitted a power that could burn the heavens. Oh my God, this is too terrifying. This is enough to prove that Sun Dome has merged with the primal chaos flame origin from the Phoenix Pavilion's auction back then. That is one of the strongest primal chaos origin chi in the world. Now that Sun Dome has merged with it, he has broken through to the heavenly God realm. It is enough for him to strive for the top of the world. The whole place was in an uproar. The experts of the Divine Firmament sect had ugly expressions. Sun Dome and King Flash were originally experts in the same realm. But now, Sun Dome was standing in the same realm, while King Flash was still recuperating in his family. The gap was too big. This made them hate Su Yan to the core. They wanted nothing more than to see him die. Roar! A few more days passed, and a deep roar shook the mountains and the stars. It was like the roar of 10,000 beasts, shaking all life in the universe. This sound seemed to be released by the king of 10,000 beasts. Another terrifying existence had succeeded in breaking through. The era of the northern demons had arrived. Their huge bodies were densely covered in golden scales, emitting the terrifying power of a demon god. The vast heavenly Tao resonated with them. During this process, people could vaguely see that the northern demons were like a Qilin. They let out a long roar that shook the moons in the universe. It was filled with the aura of a peerless overlord, shaking the 3rd chaos channel. Our northern demons have finally stepped into the heavenly God realm. Ha ha! The experts of the northern demon race laughed loudly. Everyone could see clearly that the northern demons were powerful and prosperous. Their aura swallowed tens of thousands of miles. Demonic chi filled the sky, lingering with endless divine might. Some people were suspicious. Could it be that the northern demons had merged with the primal chaos origin chi of a Qilin? If that was really the case, then it was heaven-defying. This was a peerless substance that was not inferior to the primal chaos origin chi. It was even very suitable for the northern demons. During this period of time, the 10 chaos channels were continuously shaken. Peak geniuses were breaking through one after another. There were even peerless generals that entered the heavenly God realm. It could be said that this was an era of explosive growth. After all, the Chaos Channel had been open for a long time. This day should have arrived. Zhu Tian hasn't broken through yet? Someone was suspicious. There hasn't been much activity at the 10th Chaos Divine Mountain. This caused some people to laugh. Zhu Tian left the Chaos Channel long ago. He doesn't need the help of the Chaos Divine Mountain to break through. The Ancestral Hall has control over many universe secret realms in the Chaos Ruins. Some people were enlightened and bitterly smiled. This was truly infuriating. The Ancestral Hall had universe secret realms. Perhaps the various superpowers in the Chaos Ruins had also opened their own universe secret realms to increase the strength of the younger generation. However, 99% of the cultivators would have to try their luck and see if they could find some universe secret realms. The era of fierce competition has arrived. The older generation experts sighed. The land of fortune was about to come to an end. Next would be the various universe secret realms and even incomplete universes. There were also people who looked at Su Yin with pity and sighed. Poor Su Yin. He hasn't even figured out whether he's dead or alive. He's been trapped in a desperate situation for 10 days and 10 nights. No matter how many resources he has, he can't afford to squander them like this. His enemies have all entered the heavenly god realm, but Su Yin is still stuck in the god realm. His cultivation has fallen behind by a lot. It will be hard for him to catch up in the future. That's right. Su Yin has been at God Burial Mountain for 1 or 2 years. If he doesn't leave, he will most likely be crippled. Some people commented their own opinions. North Devil and the others were also paying close attention to Su Yin. After learning that Su Yin was still at God Burial Mountain, they laughed coldly. I hope he can leave the mountain alive. We will wait for him in front. If he can leave alive, I will return. The generals who were chasing after North Devil were all excited. Now that North Devil had succeeded in his heaven technique, his battle power had multiplied. When he faced Su Yin again, he would definitely be able to suppress Su Yin in his most glorious era. Now, the situation of the 10 great chaos pathways was clear. The young experts who had entered the heavenly god realm all entered the vast chaos ruins world. In the years to come, there would definitely be all kinds of shocking news that would frequently spread. Of course, the chaos ruins didn't restrict Divine King from entering. However, for some universe secret realms, most of them couldn't withstand the entry of 2 strong beings. Because of the passage of time, these secret realms had reached their limits. Once an overly strong cultivator entered, it was very likely that the secret realms would collapse. In the chaos ruins, the secret realms and the fortunes in the incomplete universe were the rare treasures that they had to fight for. Here at God Burial Mountain, he was still the center of attention. The cultivators of the various factions were also paying attention to Su Yin's movements. After all, this was a place of death. Time passed day by day. Every day, Su Yin was nourished by a sea of chaos essence. It washed through his flesh and bones, causing his body to shine like crystal and be flawless. Su Yin's body was broken and reformed. This repeated back and forth, as if he had gone through many cycles of reincarnation. All of this originated from the terrifying pressure of the primal chaos Immortal Mountain, which allowed Su Yin to continuously shatter his previous flaws and reforge his new physical body. He didn't even know how much chaos liquid he had swallowed. In short, Su Yin had spent countless resources. Finally, he slowly resisted the pressure of heaven and earth. His body was vaguely steaming, piercing through the sky with a myriad of blood essence light. Dong! Inexplicably, a sound appeared. At first, it sounded erratic, but this sound appeared again and again, and the momentum was grander and grander. It was as if a sleeping ancient creature was emitting vitality. The sudden change made the cultivators at the foot of the mountain tremble, because they felt that Su Yin seemed to be undergoing some kind of awakening. That is, in the next moment, they were overwhelmed with shock as they saw a resplendent heart within the shadow that was enveloped by the boundless power of primal chaos. Some kind of innate potential had been unlocked, some kind of hidden treasure within the body. It was as if a condensed ancient universe had been opened. This also led to an immeasurable amount of primal chaos essence penetrating Su Yan's heart. It was as if his heart had swallowed an ocean of primal chaos. The moment it poured into his heart, it violently blasted open the hidden treasures of his physical body. How is this possible? Their scalps tingled. What was this? Su Yan seemed to have swallowed thousands of kilograms of chaos liquid in an instant before he blasted open the hidden treasure in his body. It was as if a universe had been opened, and it was as if a heavenly drum had been beaten. In an instant, heaven and earth collapsed. The terrifying pressure made many of the onlookers fly out like kites with broken strings. They spat out blood, and the blood essence in their bodies churned as if they had been struck by lightning. Heavens! They trembled. What kind of vast amount of blood essence was flowing? It actually emitted the sound of 9 heavens' divine thunder. The transformation of the heart caused Su Yan's entire body to release life essence that was as thick as the sky. It was as if an immortal furnace was burning the world into a huge black hole. Please remember the domain name of this book, 9 Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 9:14. This is too powerful. Su Yan has awakened again. The cultivators at the foot of the mountain were trembling with fear. They simply couldn't withstand the divine might emanating from Su Yan's body. At this moment, Su Yan appeared too tall and mighty. The essence blood in his body pierced through the heavens like 10,000 true dragons. Bloody light overflowed, creating a world-shaking scene. All the spectators were dumbfounded. How could this kind of change happen? Unfortunately, the scene in the space-time mirror was limited. The important figures of various races didn't know what was going on. They only saw the essence blood rushing into the heavens, filling the universe, and emitting a deafening sound of thunder. Could it be that Su Yan has broken through to the heavenly deity realm? Someone stammered, causing some people to nod in agreement. Otherwise, how could Su Yan suddenly become so powerful? This didn't conform to common sense, unless he really broke through to the heavenly deity realm. This was a scene where the limit was broken. It made Su Yan come into contact with a brand new environment. It was also as if he had severed the shackles on his body. His entire body burst out, soaring into the sky with the radiance of essence blood. He was too brilliant and dazzling. His battle body was resplendent. The essence blood in his body pierced through the heavens. The energy that leaked out of his pores pierced through the heaven and earth. In the heavens and on the earth, only Su Yan was eternal. The radiance he emitted was so dazzling that it hurt the eyes of others. The cultivators near God Burial Mountain were all dumbstruck. Why was it so different from what they had expected? Is this a sign of the limit being broken? I feel like I'm a heavenly deity realm powerhouse now. Su Yan murmured. He suddenly felt that the world couldn't accommodate him. He seemed to be able to pierce through the great Tao of the heavens with a raise of his hand. This was a kind of embodiment of power to the extreme. Su Yan was both surprised and delighted. As long as he stood out to clarify, people would think that Su Yan was a heavenly deity realm powerhouse. One had to say that this was quite astonishing and heaven-defying. It broke the world's understanding of the limits of battle prowess. In fact, this was only the first human body treasure. To open the treasure hidden in the human body, one needed a huge amount of foundation to support it. Of course, the other treasures in the human body were not as grand and magnificent as this one. As long as he spent some time and had a strong foundation, he could forcefully open it and temper his body to the extreme. Buzz! His entire body shone, directly devouring a sea of chaotic, precious liquid, continuing to pass through the other human treasures. With each passing day, Su Yan's aura grew stronger by a bit. It was hard for the world to imagine what Su Yan had experienced. Had he already broken through to the heavenly god realm? Had he obtained something on God Burial Mountain? What the hell is going on? What kind of secret is hidden in God Burial Mountain? The experts of the various races in the ancestral hall had gloomy expressions. They were in a bad mood, feeling as if they were about to have a heart attack. As long as they couldn't figure out what Su Yan had done, they wouldn't be able to feel at ease. They didn't care whether or not Su Yin had broken through to the heavenly god realm. What they truly cared about was what sort of lucky chance Su Yin had obtained at the summit of God Burial Mountain. This was the most important result. The scene on God Burial Mountain was divine to the extreme. Everything originated from the scene of Su Yan's birth. Heaven and earth were incomparably blazing, suppressing everything. The blood stench and purgatory space were completely covered up. Su Yan's blood essence roiled, surging like a tide, surging and surging. It was spectacular to the extreme. With each passing day, his body became a bit more majestic. This type of might was extremely difficult to control because he was strong enough, powerful to the point where he could destroy a corner of the heavens. Su Yan's body was full of blood essence. With each breath, the surroundings rumbled. He was truly tyrannical to the extreme, extremely difficult to take another step forward. Am I really at the heavenly deity realm? Su Yin asked himself. He felt unprecedentedly tyrannical, to the extent where he could even use the heavens for his own use. This was strength that only heavenly deities should have, but Su Yin had touched upon it ahead of time. Su Yin felt that his cultivation had reached perfection. He had unearthed the treasures of his physical body, standing at the peak of his peers. Once his aura erupted, that terrifying great Tao heavenly force was enough to suppress kings, turning him into a heavenly deity realm expert. Yes and no, I have a physical body. As long as I complete the heavenly deity realm, only then can I be considered a true heavenly deity. However, I have the battle prowess of a heavenly deity in advance. Su Yin was excited. After cultivating to this step, he was already an independent expert. He estimated that from the current cultivation time, it would only take a few years for him to reach the heavenly deity realm. However, the resources he had consumed these days were enormous. Su Yin estimated that he had consumed at least 20,000 gene of primal chaos liquid. This was a huge amount of wealth, making Su Yin endlessly shocked. Although he had broken through some kind of limit, he had also paid a sufficiently great price. Could it be that the environment of the world in history is fundamentally different from the present? If everyone can walk the same path as me, who can support this kind of cultivation intensity? Is it understandable? The lack of resources of the world is incomparable to the world in history. This is enough to show the importance of the universe's secret realms. Some of the incomplete universes might be related to prehistory. Su Yin thought to himself. He felt that his situation was very special. He was really like a heavenly deity, able to raise his battle prowess to the limit of the domain and fight a bloody battle with the overlords of the heavenly deity realm. Actually, no matter how strong my physical body is, it is all preparation for the next step. Su Yin pondered. In the heavenly deity realm, he wanted to borrow the strength of his physical body to break through and not become one with the universe's great Tao. This might be very difficult. Su Yin did not know what would happen once he broke through. He had never heard of this kind of cultivation method before. It was equivalent to reversing the rules of the universe. He was afraid that it would not be easy to succeed. Of course, the reality was hard to predict. Everything was built on oneself. As long as Su Yan's physical body was strong enough, he could try. Even if he encountered a calamity of the world, he could survive with his powerful physical body. It's time to break through. Su Yin opened the bottleneck of the realm that he could not control. His divine power resonated and the light of the great Tao burned. In the instant his physical body breathed, the essence of the primal chaos liquid, drifting in the void, all flowed back into Su Yan's treasured body. Rumble. In an instant, Su Yan's aura increased again. He pierced through the 8th layer of the divine spirit realm. His aura was powerful to the extreme. He was only one step away from the peak of the divine spirit realm. Heavens, Su Yin can still continue to erupt and strengthen. He has definitely stepped into the heavenly deity realm. Otherwise, he would not have such powerful battle prowess. Inconceivable, Su Yin has only stepped into the divine spirit realm for 2 or 3 years, but now he is actually standing at the heavenly deity realm. Did Su Yin break through some kind of cultivation speed? The entire audience was in an uproar. All the onlookers cried out in disbelief. This cultivation speed made them despair. If he stepped into the heavenly deity realm at such a young age, then how far could the divine king be from Su Yin? Su Yan's aura was frightening. He was like a young divine king sitting cross-legged at the peak of God Burial Mountain. He was filled with a kind of domineering aura, as if he was the sole sovereign. This kind of embodiment was truly world-shaking. It was as if a young divine king was sitting cross-legged between heaven and earth. His figure was blazing. His blood essence was like a tide, surging and rippling. Even the heavens could not hide Su Yan's aura. It was rumbling. He is a heavenly deity. He is definitely a heavenly deity. No one felt that Su Yan was still a divine spirit. Otherwise, Su Yan's current situation was very difficult to explain. After all, Su Yan's entire body was emitting a kind of mighty force that crushed the heavens. This was the most direct embodiment of becoming a heavenly deity. Su Yan actually broke into the heavenly deity realm on God Burial Mountain. Could it be that he obtained a great stroke of luck? That's hard to say, but I feel that Su Yan's harvest on God Burial Mountain should be even more astonishing than his harvest on Primal Chaos Divine Mountain. There is no justice in this world. The danger zone of all previous generations has actually helped Su Yan, but he still hasn't reached his peak state. Some people were silent, some people were discussing, and some people were going crazy. In short, everything that Su Yan experienced was hard for them to believe. But the scenes projected by the space-time mirror told them the truth. Su Yan had ascended once more, his combat strength multiplying. Why do I feel like the environment of the world is suppressing me? After Su Yan broke through, he wasn't overjoyed. Instead, a dignified expression appeared on his face. He felt that he was strong enough, but he discovered that the environment of the world was suppressing him. It was as if Su Yan had walked down the path of the ancient people in the divine realm. Because of this, the current environment of the universe couldn't tolerate him. This made him frown. This kind of connection was amazing. The environment of the universe had changed. After the era of the immortal planet, there was a gap in ancient history. Unfortunately, he didn't know everything about the immortal planet. Otherwise, he might be able to speculate what kind of changes had happened in the universe. Of course, this kind of suppression wasn't too strong. Su Yan hadn't reached the point where he could be suppressed by the rules of the universe. Only a strong enough existence might be suppressed, but how strong would that be? I'm so weak now. I shouldn't think about this. It's easy to get lost in it. Su Yan shook his head. He was in the divine realm. In the future, he would have to overcome one obstacle after another. From the divine realm, to the divine realm, to the divine king. These obstacles alone were enough to stump billions of creatures. Su Yan stood up and stretched his limbs. His eyes fell on the peak of God Burial Mountain. Is he going to climb the mountain? This scene touched their nerves. Everyone wanted to know what kind of opportunity existed at the peak of God Burial Mountain. But Su Yan was infinitely close. His realm had even broken through. It was very likely that he would rush up. Boom! Suddenly, people saw Su Yan moving forward, but his shadow was blurry. Even the space-time mirror couldn't see too much. Then, to their horror and uneasiness, Su Yan disappeared. He disappeared from God Burial Mountain. He went up. Oh my God, he went up so easily. The land of death was broken by Su Yan. Everyone's expression changed as they cried out in alarm. The faces of the divine kings from the various powers in the ancestral palace turned green. How could Su Yan climb up? A long time had passed. God Burial Mountain had gone through many eras of the universe. No one had succeeded in climbing the mountain. But Su Yan not only lived on God Burial Mountain for more than a year, but he also climbed to the peak of God Burial Mountain and disappeared from the eyes of the world. Just like this, a young man holding the Celestial Emperor's war banner climbed to the peak of God Burial Mountain. It was as if he had stepped on the road back to his homeland. He only left a footprint before disappearing from the eyes of the world. This day was destined to be recorded in history. The entire world would be shocked. A place with no life had been broken by Su Yan just like that. Please remember the domain name of this book. 9 Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 9:15. Su Yin had broken through the evil that had existed for countless years and successfully reached the peak of God Burial Mountain. Once news of this spread out, it would surely shock the world. Even supreme elders would pay close attention to it. After all, God Burial Mountain was a danger zone. It had been a danger zone for countless years. Let alone opening it up, even exploring it for a period of time was difficult. But Su Yin had miraculously cultivated on God Burial Mountain for a year or two, and now he had even reached the peak. This left everyone shocked. The faces of the ancestral hall's great clans darkened to the extreme. After all, Su Yin might have obtained some unimaginable lucky chance. Of course, no one knew what was at the top of God Burial Mountain. Perhaps there were lucky chances, or perhaps there were dangers. They wanted to understand, but even with the space-time mirror, the peak of God Burial Mountain was a blur. Faintly, a terrifying power of time appeared, preventing anyone from probing. A supreme elder stood in front of God Burial Mountain. They couldn't see the scenery at the peak. I really hope he dies up there. The rulers of the monster region all felt a headache coming on. They didn't want to see Su Yin return from the mountain. If he really did obtain some incredible treasure, the variables would be far too great. I actually hope he can leave the mountain alive and bring back the secrets of God Burial Mountain. The Han family's old grandmaster's voice was cold and gloomy. He said, "He is just a minor character. No matter how great his potential is, in the chaos ruins, even a mighty dragon must lie low. Even peerless geniuses must keep a low profile. We are the true masters of the chaos ruins." The Han family and the other great clans had existed in the chaos ruins for countless eras. Their background had never declined. In the battles of the chaos ruins, they had been the greatest beneficiaries. They didn't believe that a single person could overturn the heavens and grasp such a terrifying secret without dying. Even if the North Monster and the others grasped this secret, there would still be people who would come and force him to reveal the secrets of God Burial Mountain. After all, this danger zone was a place that even supreme elders coveted. If someone were to return with a secret, would those people be able to sit still? The answer was absolutely impossible. Once Su Yin left the mountain, that would mean a great calamity was about to descend. Many unrelated powerhouses were tempted. They hoped that Su Yin would leave the mountain and return with a secret that no one had been able to unravel for countless years. Some people were even moving in the dark, joining forces in secret, wanting to make a big move. This is bad. I think they're going to team up and defeat Su Yin. A few old experts sensed that the atmosphere here wasn't right. There was a terrifying killing intent surging in the darkness, so cold that it penetrated their bones. Their expressions became heavy. Some people didn't wish for Su Yin to leave the primal chaos passage alive. Even the experts who weren't involved revealed murderous intent. The opportunities in the danger zone were too great. They couldn't sit still at all. If he goes down the mountain, he will definitely die. The clans of the Fiend region found it hard to control their killing intent. For the secret of the danger zone, it was worth it for them to take action. Even if they angered the old leader of the buried region, they didn't care. Their determination to kill Su Yin grew even stronger. However, at the peak of God Burial Mountain, which was also the peak of Primal Chaos Immortal Mountain, Su Yin's encounter exceeded everyone's expectations. Su Yin reached the peak. He was shaken, a kind of throbbing that came from his soul. His eyes looked all around, and there was a stifling fluctuation in his heart. It was as if he was being suppressed in a deep abyss, and a feeling of insignificance grew in his heart. The mountain peak was large, so large that it was unimaginable. It was as vast and grand as a jade universe. The peak of Primal Chaos Immortal Mountain was exceptionally grand, as if it could cover one life-star field after another, as if it could suppress the entire universe. It was unimaginably grand. There was an astonishing power of time and space-time here. The area Su Yin stood on seemed small, but it was actually as vast as a life-star field. This made Su Yin's hair stand on end. What kind of terrifying space-time power was this? This was the same as a grain of sand filling an ocean. In short, at the peak of primal chaos Immortal Mountain, every material was exceptionally grand. Su Yin, in particular, stood at the peak of primal chaos Immortal Mountain. He was so small that he couldn't even be considered a speck of dust. This really is how big the heart is, how big the world is. I estimate that even a supreme elder would be shocked. It's hard to imagine just how this world was formed. Su Yin was dumbfounded. Just how many lives could this peak of primal chaos Immortal Mountain hold? This was hard to imagine. Of the 9 legendary Immortal Mountains, just how grand was this primal chaos Immortal Mountain? This was also hard to imagine. In such a terrifying world, how could such a tragic and bloody event occur here? Su Yin muttered. He couldn't help but wave the Celestial Emperor's war banner. This blood-stained war banner was the symbol of a group of races. In the past, their races had contended for supremacy here, slaughtering each other here. But Su Yin was thinking, was this place related to the Celestial Emperor? What did the Celestial Emperor represent? What kind of person was he? Was he a prehistoric powerhouse? Was he related to the buried region? In short, there were too many mysteries here. Su Yin wanted to understand them. He felt that he should be able to find some answers at the peak of primal chaos Immortal Mountain. Su Yin began to wander aimlessly. The world was too grand. He wandered day and night, hoping to find some important discoveries that could be made in the exploration of ancient history. I seem to have traveled for 8 days and 8 nights. But why do I feel like I haven't even crossed a 10,000th of the territory? This place is too big. Even if the Divine King came, he probably wouldn't be able to search the peak of primal chaos Immortal Mountain in a few years. Perhaps it would take decades or centuries. Su Yin was even more shocked. Along the way, he had left some coordinates. This was the way back. If he couldn't find any clues, he had to return. Otherwise, he would be delayed for too long. Su Yin was even wondering if the primal chaos Immortal Mountain had a cave entrance like Heavenly Mountain. Would it enter the primal chaos Immortal Mountain? Su Yin wanted to find this entrance. Just like that, he wandered aimlessly for an unknown period of time. In the end, Su Yin's heart trembled because he discovered some buildings. Buildings. Could it be that there were ancient people who cultivated here and even opened up a Dao field? Su Yin's emotions surged. He soon arrived at his destination. These buildings had existed for too long to estimate. Almost all of them had collapsed. But after so many years, these buildings hadn't decayed. He was shocked and moved. He continued to search the collapsed buildings. In short, there were more and more buildings. Su Yin wondered if there had been an ancient city here. It had collapsed. Could it be related to the battle at Primal Chaos Immortal Mountain? He tried to dig out some ancient books from the collapsed buildings. Su Yin really found them. However, with the passage of time, these ancient books turned to dust as soon as Su Yin touched them. Even if he used his divine will to explore them, they also turned to dust. Su Yin's face was full of shock. In the end, he sighed. Time can really bury some things and cover up everything. Who knows how long the universe has existed? There must be an era even longer than the immortal planet. Generation after generation. Who can be as high as time and live forever? This world? Could it be that it was impossible to achieve immortality? Live as long as the heavens. Perhaps there will be some future eras that will be very curious about our era and want to investigate the major events that happened in our era. Su Yin thought of many things. He was a little absent-minded. Or rather, could a person be strong enough to suppress the universe's time? Su Yin shook his head and smiled bitterly. He was thinking too much. He continued to search aimlessly. His intuition told him that he could find something. Just like that, he continued to search the collapsed buildings. Time passed quietly. A month had passed. Su Yin smiled bitterly. How big was this tribe? Even the peak tribes in the universe didn't have such a vast residential area. Perhaps there used to be an unimaginable tribe on the Chaos Immortal Mountain. I don't believe that I can't find any useful information here. I'm sprinting inside. Su Yin refused to give up and continued his search. His speed was very fast, not much inferior to a god king's. Su Yin's mastery of spatial compression had reached perfection. With his full strength, He covered the ground with every step he took as he began to charge towards the interior in an incomparably crazy manner. Just like that, he sprinted for 3 days and 3 nights. On this day, his expression finally changed. He looked at the road in front of him in disbelief. The buildings along the way had all dispersed. However, when he looked up at the sky, he saw the sky. It was as if he could see the peak of the heavens, floating up and down in the skies. Even after all these years, these buildings still emitted a terrifying heavenly might. Su Yan's entire body trembled because he had an uncontrollable urge to prostrate himself in worship. What was this? The buildings floating at the top of the sky were like heavenly palaces that suppressed the past, present, and future. They were filled with supreme heavenly might. How many years had passed? However, the buildings floating in the sky still emitted a divine charm. This meant that a group of terrifying existences had once lived in this dojo. Is this an immortal palace? Is this the heavenly realm? Su Yan looked at all of this. He couldn't see the end, only a corner of the picture. In short, all of this had a great impact on Su Yan. Just as he was in shock, the silent celestial Thearka's battle flag lit up on its own. It seemed to be awakening as it scattered down waves of clear light. Have you returned to your hometown? Was this the dojo of your tribe? Could this be the celestial Thearka's cultivation dojo? Su Yan asked many questions. In short, all of this made him want to rush over and explore. Bam! Su Yan didn't hesitate. He rushed into the sky like a bolt of lightning. It was too fast. However, with Su Yan's current speed, he thought that he would be able to soar upwards. Who would have thought that the higher he went, the more vast the buildings floating in the highest heavens emitted a boundless divine might. Even Su Yan felt as if he would be suppressed. Su Yan reared his head back and roared. He withstood the astonishing pressure and continued to ascend. If it weren't for the fact that he had successfully reconstructed his mortal body on God Burial Mountain and unearthed the treasures hidden within, he wouldn't have had the qualifications to rush up. But now it was different. Su Yan dared to challenge all difficulties. Could this be considered the residence of heavenly soldiers and heavenly generals? On this day, Su Yan rushed upwards, rushing towards the buildings floating in the highest heavens. At this moment, Su Yan seemed to step onto a golden avenue. This avenue was shrouded in a myriad of strands of auspicious light and immortal splendor. It was like a golden avenue that traversed the past, present, and future. As for the end of this golden avenue, there was a huge door. It was like the door to the immortal world. Standing in front of this huge door, one would feel as small as a speck of dust. But when Su Yan looked at the top of the door, his soul froze. There were 3 words that emitted a supreme majesty. He couldn't recognize these words, but he could feel the immortal might of the great Tao from these words. He knew what they were describing. Southern Heavenly Gate. Su Yan was shocked. What was this? Was this a mythical event that had been passed down in myths? Was this the Celestial Court? Baidu Search Tian 81 Chinese Network. No advertising message. Chapter 9:16. Su Yan was flabbergasted. He stared at the ancient signboard above the huge door in a daze. Although he could not recognize these words, he could guess the meaning of these words from the vague, immortal aura emitted by these 3 words. This was the Southern Heavenly Gate. Su Yan was momentarily dazed. Southern Heavenly Gate. There was also a Southern Heavenly Gate in ancient Huaxia mythology. It was the gate of the Celestial Court in the mythology. But now Su Yan was on the God Burial Mountain and saw the 3-word Southern Heavenly Gate, which made him a little dazed. Then, he remembered that Earth was a later progenitor. Could it be that the legendary Southern Heavenly Gate really existed? Or could it be that the Celestial Court also existed? This made Su Yan feel incredulous. Such a familiar name. In the later progenitor, stories about the Celestial Court were widely spread among the people. Could it be that this was not written by the ancients, but a real historical event? This is heaven-defying. Su Yan stammered. Doesn't this mean that the buried realm race is really related to this mysterious race? that the Celestial Emperor belonged to this mysterious race of the Celestial Court? Su Yin had a feeling that he had touched upon a corner of the truth. His emotions surged. This was related to an ancient history that had passed away, an event that had been covered up by time. Perhaps there was once a race that commanded the 9 heavens and 10 earths and ruled the world. And this race's title was very likely the Celestial Court, and its leader was very likely the Celestial Emperor. Of course, all of this was just a guess, but Su Yin could confirm that the Celestial Emperor battle banner was definitely related to the Celestial Court. And today, the Celestial Emperor battle banner was awakening on its own, guiding the southern heavenly gate. How long ago was it that the Celestial Court once existed? Was it the supreme ruler of the universe? Su Yin's breathing was heavy. In short, there were too many connections between all of this. He never expected to see the southern heavenly gate at the peak of the Chaos Immortal Mountain. Could it be said that this was the place where the heavenly court established their sect? Of course, all of this was just a guess, and Su Yin had no way to prove it. Even if the Celestial Court really existed, could it be said that this was the ruins of the Celestial Court? I'd like to know how this clan is related to the buried region. Su Yin muttered in a low voice. Everyone had their own curiosity. Although Su Yin's current goal was to become the pillar of the burial realm, to rewrite the structure of the burial realm, to lead the burial realm to the peak, Su Yin's current goal was to become the pillar of the burial realm. However, Su Yin couldn't wait to get to the bottom of the matter regarding the burial realm tribe. He followed the golden path step by step toward the southern heavenly gate. This path was very long. The golden path had millions of strands of auspicious light, rising with immortal radiance. It was full of a divine aura. Su Yin looked like he was on a pilgrimage, solemn and dignified, his body flowing with golden radiance. Moreover, he held the Celestial Emperor battle banner. He was like a clansman who had left the burial realm and was returning to his homeland. Su Yin could feel the vast heavenly might emanating from the southern heavenly gate at all times. This was an extremely terrifying aura that affected one's mind and will, causing one to involuntarily have the mentality of prostrating themselves in worship. Even after so many years, this heavenly might was still present. It was hard to imagine the glory and prosperity of this burial realm tribe. When Su Yin was infinitely close to the southern heaven gate, his soul was trembling because the heavenly might was even more terrifying. He was so small that he was not even comparable to an ant. He was insignificant to the southern heaven gate. In truth, this was only a gate. He still didn't know what was inside the southern heavenly gate or what the legendary celestial court was like. Su Yin was lost in his thoughts. His temperament became increasingly solemn, and he didn't dare to show the slightest disrespect to the southern heavenly gate. He felt like there was something between heaven and earth that was staring at him. Perhaps if he released a different aura, he would definitely be destroyed in both body and soul. When Su Yin arrived in front of the southern heavenly gate, he felt that the world was too grand. The entire southern heavenly gate was a world of its own. It was huge and vast, and it emitted waves of energy that suffocated Su Yin. He almost couldn't breathe. How terrifying! He was terrified from the bottom of his heart. Just this aura alone was difficult for Su Yin to bear. Then, was this southern heavenly gate a supreme treasure? Was it here to guard the celestial court? Or was Su Yin thinking that since this treasure had no owner, could he take it away and use it as a gate to guard the back progenitor? If he could take away the southern heavenly gate, then it would be quite heaven-defying and terrifying. Who would be able to threaten the Milky Way in the future? Who would be able to break the southern heavenly gate? Of course, this was only a thought in Su Yan's mind. Even if he was really given a supreme treasure, with Su Yan's current cultivation, it would be extremely difficult for him to gain the recognition of a supreme treasure. I can't go in. Su Yin wanted to step into the southern heavenly gate, but he realized that there was an invisible barrier blocking his path, preventing him from taking even half a step. Using brute force to break through was no different from a fool's dream. Su Yin couldn't even withstand the aura it emitted on its own. Using brute force was akin to courting death. I want to go in. Su Yin clenched his fists, and the blood in his body boiled. He wanted to step into the southern heavenly gate and see the legendary celestial court. Boom! Just as his blood was erupting and his blood was rippling, the southern heavenly gate suddenly lit up. It was as if it had been sleeping for billions of years, and now it was faintly awakened. It was as if it was standing in another time and space, emitting an immeasurable amount of immortal aura that was enough to shock the 9 heavens and command the world. Moreover, the southern heavenly gate projected a clear radiance, as if it had opened its heavenly eye and was paying attention to Su Yin. In an instant of brilliance, Su Yin looked up to the sky and roared uncontrollably. The potential in his body leaked out uncontrollably, and his entire body's divine power burned continuously, revealing the divine power of the great Tao that could penetrate heaven and earth. The absolute overlord of a generation, no matter what kind of environment or situation, could emit the glory and glory that belonged to Su Yin himself. He appeared to be very tall as he stood in front of the southern heavenly gate, holding the celestial emperor's battle flag with one arm. He was like a fierce general guarding the southern heavenly gate, swallowing the sky and roaring. Buzz! In the next moment, the huge amount of blood essence in Su Yan's body surged, and the indistinct 9-color blood was suddenly ignited. This was 9-color blood, and it was rather mysterious and shocking. It was as if 9 different colors of blood had manifested. Su Yan's entire body was filled with 9-colored celestial radiance, like a divine king descending to the 9 heavens. There were thousands of strange phenomena behind him, and there was also a chaotic sea floating in time and space. There were many supreme figures standing in it, and they seemed to have started moving, looking at the southern heavenly gate from afar. This was Su Yan's special bloodline and strange phenomenon, and he wouldn't release it easily. Now that it had erupted, it actually caused the southern heavenly gate to shake on its own. It was as if the southern heavenly gate had started to shake because of his return. As the southern heavenly gate shook, the entire slumbering celestial court was awakened. What kind of manifestation was this? It was like a creature sleeping in ancient times, filled with a kind of spiritual will that ruled the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The majestic celestial court was enshrouded in celestial radiance, and the atmosphere was majestic. It was like the palace of the celestial emperor that transcended the past, present, and future. It emitted fluctuations that suppressed time and space for eternity. Su Yan's emotions were stirred, and he felt his blood boiling. He sensed a kind of summons. The celestial court seemed to be welcoming Su Yan, a tribesman who was far away from home. Dong, dong, dong. Moreover, Su Yan heard the sound of the heavenly drum. It shook the heavens and earth, and it shook the depths of one's soul. It caused Su Yan to uncontrollably rush into the southern heavenly gate. The moment he stepped inside, it was as if he had entered a brand new country. It was also as if he had crossed the vast river of time, crossed the prehistoric reincarnation, and entered a brand new time and space, a brand new dimension of the universe. This kind of scene was hard to describe with words. Even the word glorious wasn't enough to describe it. The scene inside the southern heavenly gate made Su Yin a little dazed, and he felt that he had come to the wrong place. What was this? The sky was filled with celestial soldiers and celestial generals. They stood in the palaces that were as huge as the heavens. They were densely packed, and there was no end in sight. It was as if millions of soldiers had gathered here, and they were ready to launch a magnificent expedition. Every figure was terrifying beyond compare. They were tall and majestic, and they exuded a peerless aura that could sweep away thousands of soldiers. The grandeur of this scene made Su Yin even more dazed. It was as if he was sleepwalking, and he barged in. He didn't speak, and there were no words. This was because the entire world was too silent. He came to a battle platform that was as thick as the heavens, and he blended in with the countless soldiers. He looked up at the celestial soldiers and celestial generals that were standing in the palaces above the 9 heavens. This scene was unbelievable. What kind of army was this? Su Yin felt that if such an army were to fight their way out, they could sweep across the entire universe, suppress all chaos, suppress all glory, and crush all great enemies. The world was very quiet, and Su Yin seemed to be out of place in this world. He tried to ask the people around him. He wanted to know what had happened, where this place was, and how long they had been here. Boom! The sound of the heavenly drums continued to explode. Finally, when the last beat of the drums fell, the countless celestial soldiers and celestial generals knelt on the ground. They faced the summit of the 9 heavens and prostrated themselves in worship. Moreover, they were roaring, exuding a terrifying aura of faith. They released a spiritual will that soared into the heavens. When combined together, they shattered everything, and the vast universe was illuminated in a dazzling light. They were even making sounds, chanting this person's name. In this majestic scene, Su Yan's primordial spirit was about to explode. He heard the roars of millions and millions of soldiers, and it was terrifying. But no matter how terrifying they were, when they chanted the name of this person, the universe seemed to wail. The great Tao seemed to tremble, and order seemed to collapse. The universe seemed to be rewritten. What did this mean? When a name was chanted, it was even more magnificent than the roars of millions and millions of soldiers. No, it should be said that it was majestic to the extreme, and it suppressed all light. Only his name became the only one in the world. Just this name alone was enough to suppress the past, present, and future, and defeat the peerless enemies who stood up in time and space. What kind of concept was this? Boom! The Celestial Emperor's war flag that Su Yin held tightly in his hand shone involuntarily. It was about to leave Su Yan's palm and fly to the summit of the 9 heavens, piercing through the immortal sky. Su Yin saw a person appear. When this person's blurry figure appeared from the 9 heavens, millions of soldiers roared excitedly, shaking the heavens and the earth. This was the glorious leader of their race, their faith. It was just a somewhat unreal silhouette. He stood in another world, in another time and space. However, even though they were separated by the river of time and thousands of eras, there was still a heavenly might that penetrated through ancient history and shook the river of time, directly suppressing the entire time and space. Please remember the domain name of this book, 9 Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 9:17. Is that the Celestial Emperor? Su Yin murmured. There was too much shock in his heart. He looked up at the figure above the 9 heavens. It was as if he was really standing in the past, standing in the future, or it could be said that he was standing in another space-time, standing in an extremely distant space-time. That was all there was to it. However, the aura he emitted was also transmitted to this world. This was a might that intimidated the past, present, and future. It contained an indescribable dignity that couldn't be recorded. Su Yin was thinking, could he be the Celestial Emperor? In short, during the process of observing, his mind was in a trance and his soul felt like it was being torn apart. It was really hard to bear. He even felt that during the process of observing, it was as if many years had passed. Su Yin didn't know what the people in this world were doing. These billions of celestial soldiers and generals were paying their respects here, kowtowing and calling out the name of a person. It shook the past, present, and future. It was as if they were also carrying out a relatively ancient ritual. He wanted to understand all of this, but Su Yan's strength didn't fall short of his desire. This was because the existence of this world had an astonishing power of time. It suppressed Su Yin, making him unable to say a single word. It was very difficult for him to communicate with them. This was related to the ritual they were carrying out. It contained an astonishing power of time and time. Why do I feel like he is going to descend into the world? Is he going to descend into the lower world? Su Yan's heart was shaken more and more. He kept looking up at that supreme figure. As the billions of troops chanted his name, he emitted a terrifying mighty force, revealing the terrifying power of the long river of time. Was this great existence crossing some kind of ancient path, following the syllables of these people's names, and carrying out a kind of return? Su Yin was only guessing. He didn't understand this world and couldn't pry into the full picture. In short, the sound of the name being chanted became louder and louder. The sound was enough to spread through the entire universe, penetrating through time and space, rippling through one era after another. Moreover, Su Yin couldn't help but think, would he one day be able to hear the sound of them chanting the name when he was in the Chaos Ruins? He felt that all of this was too shocking. He was observing, his mind absent-minded, enduring the pressure of time as he watched them carry out a type of special ceremony. In the end, Su Yin was shocked and moved. He realized that among the heavenly soldiers and generals in the sky, they were all worshiping in one direction and chanting the name of a person. That is, Su Yin saw a huge stone statue that exuded an extremely dense ripple of time. He didn't know how many tens of thousands of years it had been forged. In short, the stone statue's aura was extremely ancient, leaving behind very deep traces of time. It was extremely difficult to see its true appearance. He found that the divine generals were chanting to the stone statue. This meant that the person they were chanting to was made into a stone statue by them. Now that they were chanting to a person's name with the stone statue as a guide, were they asking him to return? It was unknown how long this ritual lasted. However, the person they wanted to let return was unable to step out of the ancient path and return. In fact, when the person they were chanting started to blur and was about to return to silence, the ancient celestial court shook violently. It swayed uneasily, the earth quaked, and the mountains swayed. Chaos erupted, and boundless anger was emitted. Because the ritual didn't progress smoothly, it affected their mentality. Boom! Suddenly, one after another, blurry figures crossed into the celestial court. All of this made the 9 heavens gloomy, and the world lost its luster. This was because the people who came were too terrifying. Even the slightest bit of their aura was enough to shatter heaven and earth. Their divine might was vast to the extreme. As they breathed, the vast universe wailed. These people were too tyrannical, and it was like a heavy ancient history pressing down on them. What terrifying experts! Su Yin was stunned. What kind of people were they? One after another, it was difficult for him to discern their realms. Moreover, they were rather blurry and mysterious. However, their actions shocked Su Yin. They appeared in front of the stone statue and chanted a person's name. At this moment, the entire celestial court's momentum was boundless. What an astonishing movement this was. One after another, unimaginably terrifying experts were chanting a person's name. Together with the roars of billions of celestial soldiers and generals, it was as if they had penetrated the ages and exploded in the long river of time. In an instant, the brilliance was like the ancient history of an era collapsing one after another. This scene would make even gods and devils tremble in fear. That blurry figure that was about to fall silent once again released a terrifying brilliance, and it emitted a kind of peerless divine might that came from ancient times and passed through the long river of time and space. Su Yin discovered that when their shouts of titles were combined together, they formed some special symbols of the great Tao that were branded in the passage of time. They were like divine lamps that illuminated the 9 heavens, illuminating the unknown time and space. That's not right. Are they just confirming the direction? Su Yin suddenly realized that they did not seem to be calling this person back. Instead, they were confirming his coordinates. What were they doing? This earth-shattering ceremony was just to confirm a person's coordinates? Could it be that he was in danger, or had lost his way, or was there some other reason? In any case, Su Yin couldn't understand. However, the group of terrifying existences standing in front of the stone statue were too strong. Could it be that even as strong as they were, they couldn't cross over to find this person? The chanting of names had been going on for a very long time. Su Yin could vaguely see the direction that the terrifying figure was in. It was too far away, as if millions of years had passed. Even Xiongqi couldn't trace that direction with all his strength. No matter how much effort they put in, it was still difficult for that person to truly cross over. Soon, the commotion began to weaken. Su Yin felt a sense of despair. This made his heart tremble. They were completing some kind of ceremony, but it wasn't going well. Was this a failure? I don't understand what they are saying. Their words are very ancient. What time and space does this belong to? It's definitely older than the immortal star. Suyin thought to himself. He wanted to find out more, but he didn't know what they were talking about. This made him a little confused. His mind continued to be in a daze. He even wondered where he was. Was this still the primal chaos ruins? Could it be that he had come to another world through the southern heavenly gate? Just as Suyin couldn't figure it out, this ancient world of the celestial court suddenly transmitted the terrifying flames of war. It was as if two great universes were awakening from their slumber. Those two beings could be said to be heaven-defying beings. They were blurry and too terrifying. The moment they awakened their divine might, their roars shook the sun, moon, and stars. It was as if the great stars of the universe in the long river of time and space were exploding. They started fighting. Suyin's pupils constricted. They had a disagreement during the exchange, and thus a great battle broke out. When the battle truly began, Suyin finally understood what it meant to be strong, what it meant to be invincible. The two terrifying beings released the most invincible power. It was as if two condensed ancient histories had collided. In the 9 heavens, 10 earths, their furious roars reverberated. They were too powerful and heaven-defying. The sun was about to explode. The sea of stars evaporated. The entire world was about to fall under their feet, crawling and trembling. Nothing could stop them. Their unmatched divine might was enough to shatter the universe. Suyin couldn't see this battle clearly at all. He couldn't see through it. Even his soul was about to shatter. This kind of battle wasn't something he could observe. The entire world reverberated with their most invincible power. This battle was enough to be recorded in history, yet Suyin couldn't see through it. It could only be said to be a type of regret. After an unknown amount of time, a victor was decided. At the same time, there was also a conclusion. Suyin gazed at an imposing figure. It was like a dragon, an immortal phoenix, a Koan Peng, a Qilin. In short, its aura was ever-changing, but belonged to the most terrifying leader of all time. It commanded millions and millions of celestial soldiers and generals. With a tyrannical and unrivaled stance, it forcefully opened a passage. It was a path that was deep and ancient. No one knew where it led to, and no one knew exactly what they would encounter along the way. Just like that, it led the millions and millions of celestial soldiers and generals of the celestial court on a bloody path of conquest. There were some who stayed behind, but there were very few of them. Suyin was also one of them. They stayed behind in the celestial court to protect their homeland. Suyin felt a kind of desire from these people. It was a kind of mentality that made them hope for a safe return. At this moment, Suyin understood that the path they were going to take was extremely dangerous. Death was at every turn. Perhaps millions and millions of soldiers would be buried on this path to heaven. But what kind of journey was it? Even such a terrifying and glorious force would face the danger of being buried in a foreign land. It was hard to imagine. Kill! Suyin heard the battle cries coming from that path. Millions and millions of soldiers set out, following one after another. Outstanding emperors and more than 10 peerless geniuses charged forward. They were charging ahead. The leader of the army was utterly terrifying. He used his unbeatable strength to blast open a terrifying path. In the end, they were further away from Suyin. They were about to vanish into the passage of time. They were covered by the magnificent ancient path. However, Suyin still saw some scenes. They were ambushed by terrifying foes after a huge battle broke out. A path of burying bones, like the path of emperors that penetrated the immortal firmament. An unbeatable army was leading the charge. They slaughtered their enemies across the heavens and defeated the peerless rulers one after another. They were trying to sweep across the world and force the realms to submit to them. Suyin was gradually losing his consciousness. He almost lost sight of it. The pressure of time was getting stronger. He tried his best to observe everything. He was eager to know if they had succeeded or failed. However, Suyin felt like he could not hold on any longer. He was about to faint. Perhaps he would never know what happened to the mysterious tribe in the past. I'm going to leave. Suyin held his head. He could not hold on any longer. He could not stay in this place for too long. However, before he lost his consciousness, he noticed a strong presence of blood on the path. It had dyed the passage of time red. Amidst the torrential rain of blood, he could vaguely see a person. The person was somewhat familiar. Suyan's heart began to pound. It felt like he had seen another version of himself floating at the end of the path. Suyan felt his scalp turning numb. Why was he seeing something like this? He felt like his eyes were playing tricks on him. Everything felt too surreal. The Nine Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 9:18. The bloodstained road was like a piece of ancient history that appeared in Suyan's eyes. When he saw a shadow floating on the ancient road and heading toward this world, Suyan felt as if his scalp was about to explode. How could it be so ridiculous? He seemed to see another version of himself, returning along a bloody road, returning to this world, returning to the celestial court. Suyan's hair stood on end, his heart unable to calm down. Impossible! Suyan let out a low roar, his eyes about to split open. He struggled to open his eyes, wanting to see more of the scene, wanting to understand everything. All along, Suyan's understanding of his own origins had been a question. Su Dalong and the others were unable to answer Suyan. Perhaps only the old leader knew the inside story. But now, Suyan saw a scene that he could not believe. He did not even know how many eras, how many years, and how long the river of time was between this scene and the chaotic wasteland world that he was in. But now, Suyan seemed to be dreaming of ancient history. He seemed to see another version of himself, drifting on a blood-stained ancient road. What was this? This made Suyan's emotions unstable. How could he see such a strange scene? He really felt that it was himself. Although it was not clear and somewhat vague, he still believed so. Was this a kind of reincarnation? Could it be that he had died in the past, and, after a long time, underwent a reincarnation and revived in this era? He felt that all of this was too dreamy and unreal, but he still wanted to confirm all of this. He roared with all his might, wanting to stay and see everything of this shadow. But he had stayed in this world for long enough. He had suffered the oppression of time all day long, and Suyan had reached his limit. Now that he had lost control of his mind, Suyan's vision was dark. No, I want to stay. I don't want to leave. Suyan roared. He wanted to stay and did not want to leave now. He had seen the most important scene, and leaving like this would be too regretful. But reality could not give Suyan an answer. When his vision fell into endless darkness, Suyan was stunned. He knew everything was over. He left this time and space and returned to the world he was in. Huff, huff. Suyan panted heavily, his face pale and bloodless. His primordial spirit was exhausted. Previously, when he dreamed of ancient history, his primordial spirit had suffered too much damage. If Suyan's primordial spirit had not broken through, he probably would not have stayed for long. Suyan felt his body was a little cold. It was difficult to recover from the previous scene in a short period of time. The impact of the previous scene on Suyan was too great, causing him to have a splitting headache. His breathing was heavy, and his chest was heaving up and down violently. Until now, he still could not calm down. Of his body, his whole body, Suyan was venting his emotions. He tried his best to calm himself down. He should not lose his mind because of this. It was just a few scattered scenes. It did not mean anything. Who am I? He was a little confused and uneasy. However, Suyan's instinct told him that he could not be like this. He roared angrily. His eyes became sharper and more terrifying. They were blazing with brilliance. Suyan's body erupted with a powerful energy. He shouted, "My name is Suyan. I am me. I will never be anyone else. This is my essence. It will never change. No one can change me." Suyan's body was filled with an imposing aura. His body emitted a terrifying, overbearing aura. His divine eyes were like lightning as he looked down on heaven and earth. He shouted, "In the future, when I am strong enough, I will uncover everything and find the truth." Suyan quickly adjusted his state. He had a strong belief and extraordinary willpower. He would not be easily frightened by all this. At the same time, his eyes scanned the surroundings. The scene in front of him made Su Yin silent. He was indeed standing at the ruins of the Celestial Court. However, it was completely different from the first time he came to the Southern Heavenly Gate. Everywhere was lifeless. There were no signs of life. In this silent world, even the once powerful Celestial Court had completely declined. Many of the palaces floating above the 9 heavens had collapsed. Is the Celestial Court gone? Su Yin sighed in his heart. What he had experienced before was just a prehistoric scene. Su Yin had peeked into a corner. Maybe it was because the Celestial Emperor's war banner had led him to some of the scenes left behind in ancient history. Did they leave to look for that expert? Su Yin muttered in his heart. He had thought of many things. Perhaps it could be said that there was once a terrifying tribe. Because 90% of their elites had suddenly retreated and were unable to return for a long time. This tribe had declined. The lost race. The group left behind. Then the battle of God Burial Mountain broke out. What kind of enemy did they encounter? Su Yin thought to himself. He felt that the possibility of God Burial Mountain being formed like this was very high. However, he found it hard to believe. How strong did this group need to be? But they actually encountered all of this. Even those endless celestial soldiers and generals who killed their way into the mysterious ancient road, would they be buried in a foreign land? Su Yin found it difficult to calm down. He even felt a chill in his heart. A mysterious road. He did not know where it led or where it led. Could it be that there is another world? The universe is not just this. There are other secrets. Su Yin's pupils suddenly shrank. He was shocked. He felt that he had touched upon a domain that he should not have touched upon. He felt that this possibility was very high. In the past, the Celestial Court was led by a terrifying existence. He commanded hundreds of millions of troops and horses to follow this road in pursuit of someone. Su Yin especially wanted to know, what dangers did they encounter in that world? How many secrets were hidden on that road? How much bloody history was cut off? How many peak geniuses were buried? How many orthodoxies were destroyed? Su Yin couldn't help but be dumbfounded. This world was far too mysterious. In the past, only when he was strong enough could he pry into the secrets of the next level. Now all of this was just Su Yin's guess. He had no way of confirming it. Even the Celestial Court was unable to defeat such a powerful group. Did this influence invade our universe? Can it be that the demonic fog is related to that road? Su Yin felt that he was getting closer to the truth. He even wondered if those enemies from another world would one day come here. If so, would this world be able to resist their invasion? What am I thinking? This is not what I am concerned about. Moreover, a long time has passed. It should have been at least 1,000,000 years, right? Who knows what happened on that road? Or perhaps they have already gone extinct. There are too many secrets in this world. Time can cover up everything. That's not right. In the past, they might have also attacked here. Su Yin thought about it once more. He nodded and said, the Celestial Court. This is the battlefield of the Celestial Court. Was this how God Burial Mountain was formed? It should be, right? This is God Burial Mountain. The glorious Celestial Court of the past is buried here. Although there are only a few powerhouses left, the Celestial Court still declined. Of course, maybe they are strong enough, but they are fighting in another world. That's right. That's right. God Burial Mountain was where gods and demons were buried. These endless corpses were the cruel truth. There was even the Celestial Emperor's war banner. Then, based on Su Yan's current understanding and conjecture, it was almost the same as the situation of the God Burial Mountain. He didn't expect that he would be able to see the origin of the God Burial Mountain. This wasn't a land of fortune, but a terrifying battlefield, a place where the once glorious clans took root. But how could he explain the Chaos Immortal Mountain? The 9 great immortal mountains originated from the Celestial Court. The Celestial Court should have existed before the Celestial Star. Basically, this makes sense. Our race is also closely related to the Celestial Court's remnant race. I just don't know if the Celestial Court is still around. Su Yin took a deep breath. Finally, his eyes became serious. He knew that he had an inseparable relationship with this race. In other words, the race of the Burial Realm and the remnant race of the celestial court were the same race. Su Yin threw the celestial emperor's war banner and shouted, "The celestial court is still around." His words were like thunder, exploding in this vast world of ruins. They exploded in the collapsed buildings floating in the nine heavens. His voice echoed endlessly, containing his strong belief. The war banner glowed on its own, as if it was responding to Su Yan's words. The celestial court was still around. It was not extinct. Even if they fought to the end, as long as there was not a drop of blood left, the celestial court was still around. It was still continuing their race, and there was still the possibility of continuing their glory in the future. Wonk! The war banner glowed, almost dispersing the bloody light on its surface. It used to be the flag of the celestial court, the symbol of a race's battle team. It glowed and emitted heat, faintly illuminating the ruins floating in the nine heavens. Even the gray ruins began to brighten. Su Yin frowned slightly. This was because when the celestial emperor's war banner was awakening, there was something faintly attracting the war banner. This made Su Yin suspicious. His bewildered eyes scanned the vast ruins of the palace, and he thought to himself, perhaps the remnant race of the celestial court left something behind? Since I'm a new flag bearer, perhaps I can gain some opportunities. A land of death, a once glorious race. Could there be some lost orthodoxy here? Su Yin regained his composure, and there was a look of anticipation in his heart. For such a strong race, perhaps they had the 9 strongest mystiques in history. In short, Su Yin rushed into the ruins and began to search along the waves, hoping to find something. Perhaps he could find some other objects to confirm his guesses and ideas, allowing him to understand more of the lost ancient history. He searched along the ruins, and there were many huge palaces that had not completely collapsed. Along the way, Su Yin found some artifacts, but unfortunately, after a long time, these artifacts had exhausted their divine power and were equivalent to scrap metal. Su Yin paid more attention to the celestial emperor's war banner. With the glory and prosperity of the celestial court, there was no lack of clan treasures. Even ordinary objects were impressive. However, these artifacts had exhausted their divine power, and the celestial emperor's war banner was still intact. Su Yin had no choice but to pay attention to it. He advanced along the waves. When he was about to reach his destination, Su Yin was shocked. He could faintly see another mountain, suppressing the world. What really made his soul freeze was that near this mountain, there seemed to be many peerless figures standing tall. Each of them had a supreme aura that could swallow the heavens. They seemed to have not been wiped out. 9 Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 919. The ruins of the ancient celestial court that floated above the 9 heavens exuded an ancient desolate aura. It seemed lonely and silent, and no one had come here for a long time. Now that Su Yin had come, he witnessed a period of time and space imprints left behind by prehistoric times. Now that he was searching the ruins floating above the 9 heavens, he saw some terrifying scenes that made Su Yan's soul feel dizzy. His primordial spirit had suffered serious damage before, and now it was really going to fall to the ground. He seemed to have seen numerous pillars that held up the heavens, standing towering in the heavens and the earth. And these pillars that held up the heavens were numerous mighty experts. They possessed imposing auras that devoured the starry sky, dominated the universe, and revealed a supreme, dignified aura that caused the universe to tremble. They were all too terrifying and majestic. It was hard to imagine what kind of powerhouses this group of powerhouses was. They still existed today with matchless heavenly might, like peerless overlords that controlled the heavens, majestic and imposing, dominating the starry sky. Su Yan's soul was shaken to the point of dizziness, and his eyes turned black. The power of these existences was too strong, and the universe seemed very small in front of them. These people were like immortal kings, high up in the 9 heavens, looking down on the world. Boom! A loud sound came from beside his ears, and the scene in the sky shattered, tearing Su Yan's primordial spirit to pieces. Su Yan's entire body was in pain, and his head was dizzy. He gasped for breath, and now he wanted to see the scene around him clearly. But then, the scene in front of him disappeared, and this made Su Yan's expression uncertain. The scene reversed too quickly, and Su Yan found it difficult to regain his senses. He felt that the previous experience seemed to be real and not like an illusion. But the scene he saw now, the world was normal, and only the broken ruins were emitting an oppressive atmosphere. Su Yan's eyes scanned the scene in front of him, and he saw a huge figure that was as tall as heaven and earth. The sun, moon, and stars surrounded him, and it really was the sky above his head and the wilderness beneath his feet. This tall figure didn't show any signs of life, and it had been silent here for who knew how many years. It was difficult to see his appearance clearly. After all, a long time had passed, and his body was covered in dust. He maintained absolute stillness, standing there without moving. "Stone man," Su Yan murmured. He felt that this figure was like a gigantic stone man, like a statue. It was majestic and huge, even more magnificent than a mountain ridge. Buzz! Su Yan's eyes suddenly opened. He wanted to use his heavens to take a look and see if this was a stone man or the body of an expert who had once fallen and was still immortal after so many years. However, just as Su Yan's golden pupils shot over, he felt as if the world had exploded. The world was trembling, and all matter was falling into destruction. All matter was about to perish. Not good. Su Yan turned pale with fright. His entire body was about to crumble. He was spying on this enormous figure. This was a type of violation against him. Su Yan instantly retreated, but he was also shaken to the point of coughing up large mouthfuls of blood. His head felt like it was about to split open. He was truly shocked. Could it be that this was a former expert with an immortal body? But how strong was he? It was actually even more frightening than a supreme treasure. Even after so many years had passed, the flesh could still be filled with such a powerful deterrent force, to the extent where it was imperishable. Dare I ask if a great being could do this? Could it be an expert that surpassed a great being? Su Yan fiercely sucked in a breath of cold air. A great being was already powerful enough, but now the enormous figure in front of Su Yan was suspected to be an expert that surpassed a great being. If news of this were spread, who would believe it? Could this be an immortal from the celestial court? Even after experiencing so many calamities, their bodies were still immortal, existing forever. For such an existence, only their primordial spirit is immortal. I'm afraid they can live forever. Could it be that they have a long lifespan? Su Yan thought about it. He didn't dare to approach the enormous stone man, fearing that he would be shaken to death. Even if such an existence died suddenly, there was still a powerful instinct in his body that could intimidate cultivators who disrespected him. Su Yan, who was patrolling in the distance, was shocked. He saw that the huge stone man had a majestic arm that was comparable to a mountain range. However, in its mountain-like palm, it was holding a gray whip. This is a supreme treasure. Su Yan's eyes turned red. He roared out loud. Could this be a supreme treasure? His heart was thumping wildly. The possibility was huge. A powerhouse who was suspected to have surpassed the Almighties. Then the weapon he wielded was definitely a Kuei treasure of unimaginable value. It was very likely to be a supreme treasure. He had seen the immortal binding rope before, and this whip-shaped treasure might be a supreme treasure that wasn't inferior to the immortal binding rope. Su Yan's eyes turned red. He stared at the gray whip, feeling as if he was possessed. Who could resist such a great temptation? Even a great being would lose their composure. Perhaps this treasure still retained its power. Once it was obtained, it would be the same as one of the greatest lucky chances in the Chaos Ruins. Should I give it a try? Although the danger is great. Su Yan sucked in a breath of cold air. With such a high possibility, there was still hope if he tried. Of course, it would be very dangerous. However, with such a great treasure in front of him, it was worth a try. Once he obtained it, it would be equivalent to obtaining a super killer weapon that could intimidate the peak races. Who would dare to provoke him in the future? Even the Divine King would have to step aside. Su Yan, summoned his courage and directly took out the cauldron of heaven and earth. The cauldron glowed and contained the world of heaven and earth. As it burned, it floated above Su Yan's head, melting the void into a huge black hole. Su Yan also took out the great Tao immortal pearl and used his golden primordial spirit to protect Su Yan's primordial spirit. At the same time, Su Yan also took out a divine king battle suit to protect himself. After doing all this, he felt that it was about time. Even if he encountered danger, he should be able to survive. After all, it was just an immortal body. Of course, just in case, Su Yan also took out the great Tao diagram that he had obtained from the 8th grade grandmaster of the occult arts. At the critical moment, it could be used to block the calamity for Su Yan. Let's go. Su Yan's eyes flashed with a trace of decisiveness. He suddenly soared into the air and rushed towards the gray whip. In the blink of an eye, Su Yan had already come into contact with the gray whip. He could not see how powerful this treasure was, but Su Yan felt that it was not weak. Perhaps it still had the divine power of its strongest era. Let's do it. Su Yan took a deep breath. Since he was already here, he was ready to take the risk. When his palms slowly came into contact with the whip, Lu Sheng's eyes widened. Su Yan's expression finally began to change. He looked a little frightened because he realized that this huge figure seemed to have faintly moved. Su Yan originally thought that he had seen wrongly, that his eyes were playing tricks on him. After all, so many years had passed. How could he still be alive? How could he still be alive? No matter how strong a person was, they would not be able to fight against time. Moreover, the era of the ancient celestial court was too far away from the present. Who could live until this era? However, when Su Yan saw the accumulated dust on the huge figure, the moment it scattered down, it was like thousands of meteors falling from the sky, revealing a kind of fluctuation that made gods and demons tremble. Impossible. Could he still be alive? How could it be so strange? Su Yan's scalp went numb. Could it be that this powerhouse was alive? Su Yan's forehead was covered with cold sweat. His hair stood on end. He was frightened and uneasy. This was a kind of death threat. He wanted to withdraw directly. He was not willing to take the risk. If something unexpected happened, he would definitely not be able to survive. Who knew that between heaven and earth, there would be a loud bang? All of a sudden, there would be a huge explosion. It was as if the end of the universe had arrived. The entire world was filled with a terrifying and boundless power that wanted to tear apart the 9 heavens and shatter all things in the universe. Punk! The cauldron of heaven and earth directly collapsed, exploding into ashes. This Kuei Bao, who had great potential, could not withstand the peerless power born between heaven and earth. Any matter that approached him would explode into pieces. Ah! Su Yan screamed. He was going to be destroyed in one blow. He even saw that the gray whip, as it shook, fell off the dust, revealing its original appearance. This was a black whip. It was simple and unadorned, but it was filled with a terrifying power that could kill gods. Su Yan's primordial spirit was really going to shatter. The great Tao immortal pearl that guarded his primordial spirit showed signs of collapsing. What kind of secret treasure was this? It specialized in attacking the primordial spirit of others. Even if Su Yan used the Sutra of Future, he could not avoid the god-striking whip. It seemed that even if he escaped to ancient time and space, his primordial spirit would still be cracked. At this moment, any defense, energy, or matter was a joke. Su Yan was terrified. His primordial spirit was about to be cracked by the divine whip. It was not just the whip. This huge body that had been slumbering for so long was actually moving again. In an instant, the ruins of the ancient celestial court shook violently. The whole world was distorted. Su Yan's divine king armor was torn apart, unable to withstand his movements. It was like an immortal king that had been slumbering in ancient times was beginning to awaken. There was even a strong prehistoric aura that crossed the river of time and surged into this era. The world seemed to be collapsing. This time and space could not withstand his aura. What kind of existence was this? Could it be that he was recovering his slumbering vitality? Could it be that he wanted to revive the withered functions of the human body? No matter what, when this huge figure and his divine whip began to awaken, everything changed. It was apocalyptic. Su Yin was in despair. What was the destruction of body and soul? Now Su Yin was experiencing all of this. He felt that he was really going to die and walk toward destruction. Death came very quickly. He did not even have the chance to look back at this life. I've done something stupid. Su Yan's face turned green. He had been too greedy. He had been possessed. But the supreme treasure was right in front of him. He wondered if the Almighty could resist this temptation. Who would have thought that in a time even older than the immortal planet, in a place with no life, there would be a living being emerging? Regardless of whether this person was alive or not, the process of him awakening from his slumber was enough to kill Su Yin. Boom! But at this critical moment, the Celestial Emperor's war banner shone on its own. This banner appeared somewhat terrifying. It was as if a space-time storm had been waved and cut through the river of time and space. It emitted a majestic sound, as if millions of soldiers were waving their battle cries. Chapter 9:20. The Celestial Emperor's war banner glowed on its own. If it was a banner that pierced through time and space, it could command the world and summon experts to participate in the war. Not only was it a banner, but it also possessed a terrifying rallying power. When it erupted, billions of war cries exploded, as if it would spread through the 6 paths of the 3 realms and awaken the slumbering spirits of the world. However, this kind of power only appeared for a moment before it slowly dissipated. And in front of Su Yin, this terrifying existence that was about to awaken, because of the Celestial Emperor's war banner's silence, the energy fluctuations that were faintly awakened in his body also dissipated like the tide. From death to life, Su Yin's entire body froze. His eyes stared unblinkingly at this huge figure in front of him as he began to slowly return to his original position. At this moment, there was a faint sound of heaven and earth rotating, causing Su Yin to feel as if his liver and guts were about to split open. Just what kind of terrifying giant was this? Just a single movement could shake the universe and cause the great Tao of the universe to tremble. The imposing figure was surrounded by boundless divine might. He was like an emperor that ruled the universe, supreme and unsurpassed. A single look from him was infinitely frightening. After a long time, Su Yin regained his senses from his trembling. He discovered that he was still alive. It was the Celestial Emperor's war banner that saved him. He really almost died. If not for the Celestial Emperor's war banner protecting Su Yin, he felt that he really would have died. The aura emitted by this figure was too heaven-defying. Is he still alive? Is it because of the Celestial Emperor's war banner's influence that stopped his revival? If they're still alive, what are they waiting for here? Or rather, were they guarding here? Su Yin only felt dizzy. He was also a little confused. Could it be that this terrifying existence was still alive? What kind of life was there? This was enough to shock the world. How could such a powerhouse from so long ago still be alive? How could he still be revived? Su Yin didn't even care about recuperating. He hurriedly left to avoid this evil place. He didn't want to continue exploring. Maybe he really wouldn't be able to keep his life when the time came. Is that the legendary deity striking whip? Su Yin recalled the black whip. It was terrifying and mysterious, specifically targeting one's Yuan Shun. Once struck, one's body and soul would be destroyed. Now, Su Yin was scared to death just thinking about it. If he didn't have the Heavenly Monarch battle banner, Su Yin might not even be able to see the resurrection of this mysterious expert. His Yuan Shun would have been shattered. Can that whip kill the primordial spirit of a mighty figure? And is he still alive? Damn it! My cauldron of heaven and earth has been shattered, and the Divine King battlesuit I obtained from Han Zhongming has also been destroyed. Su Yin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He left with his tail between his legs. He was so depressed that he wanted to vomit blood. This time, he really suffered a big loss. He tried to steal a chicken, but ended up losing the rice instead. This made him feel extremely depressed. However, to be able to see such a scene and even survive, Su Yan's horizons have been broadened. He really couldn't underestimate the powerhouses of this world. There were always some terrifying life forms that possessed heaven-defying methods. In the future, when I step into the Divine King realm, will I be able to withstand the slaughter and take away the deity striking whip? Suyin was still thinking about the black whip. Although he didn't know what it was, if he really wielded it, he would definitely be able to kill gods and Buddhas. If a mighty figure came, Suyin would directly pick it up and strike it. It would definitely erupt with a world-shaking divine might. AI. Suyin sighed. What a heaven-defying good fortune. It was right in front of him, but Suyin simply couldn't obtain it. After all, in the chaos ruins, to be able to obtain an opportunity of the same value as the deity striking whip was something that might not happen in an entire era. He could encounter it once. However, this secret would forever be in his grasp. After understanding all this, Suyin's mood became much better. One day, when he was strong enough, he would be able to return to God Burial Mountain and explore even more secrets. Perhaps he might even be able to take away the deity striking whip. Suyin exhaled and continued to follow the ruins. Just as he was about to continue forward, his expression changed in the next moment. This was because Suyin saw a giant figure standing tall in front of him. This caused Suyin to be stunned. He felt that he had gone the wrong way and had returned to his original spot. He widened his eyes and carefully identified it. It was very similar to the figure he had encountered before. The main reason was that their bodies were covered in dust and dirt. After so many years, this had accumulated on their bodies. It's not him. Suyin's entire body trembled. He said in shock, "Heavens, this is a second powerhouse. There's actually a second powerhouse here." The reason why Suyin was so decisive was mainly because this second giant figure was holding something. It wasn't a black whip, but a gray piece of paper. It looked like a decree. Without a doubt, this wasn't the original appearance of a decree. It was absolutely covered in dust. Suyin originally wanted to brag about this decree, but he really didn't dare to do so. The previous experience had nearly killed him. Perhaps he wouldn't be so lucky a second time. Suyin wouldn't disturb the situation here just because he had the Celestial Emperor War banner. A piece of paper. Is this the Divine Seal Decree? Suyin scratched his head. He didn't dare to approach this giant figure. He stood in the distance and observed. The main reason was that the first figure was too tall and majestic. Thus, Suyin didn't immediately discover that there was a second one. Could it be another supreme treasure? Suyin's eyes turned red. He slapped himself, causing half his face to turn red. He cursed. My old habits are acting up again. If I disturb them again, I'm afraid I'll die here. Suyin wouldn't approach or pay attention. In short, he wanted to understand the situation here. However, the two supreme treasures still made Suyin's eyes turn red. What a great opportunity this was. The Ancestral Hall and the Dark Nether race only had one supreme treasure to protect their race's fate. Even the life-forbidden zone behind Xiaoming only had one supreme treasure, the domain-shaking painting scroll, which was second only to a supreme treasure. This showed the scarcity of supreme treasures. These things were too rare, but here, two supreme treasures were lying in front of Suyin. But he couldn't obtain them. This made one go crazy. Suyin once again avoided and went forward to explore. In the end, after walking for a while, Suyin was completely shocked. This was because Suyin discovered another giant figure. It was like a giant statue, majestic and vast, towering into the starry sky. The sun, moon, and stars revolved around it. The figure was majestic, and in the palm of its hand sat a huge seal. The huge seal was like a mountain, and it was also gray. Its true appearance was covered by dust, causing Suyin's eyes to turn purple. What level of treasure was this? There must be more. This should be a huge layout. I wonder how many indomitable experts I'll see next. Suyin breathed heavily and continued to search inside. As expected, he saw a fourth, a fifth, and even a sixth. He was completely stunned. There were a total of 6 supreme beings, holding different supreme treasures. There was a divine whip, a decree, a huge seal, an ancient bell, a giant cauldron, and a great halberd, a total of 6 supreme treasures. As for the last being, Su Yin felt that it was a woman. Her figure was somewhat graceful. However, her figure was also majestic, holding a great halberd, and seemed to be leading the slaughter here. Su Yan's emotions surged as he continued to explore. He didn't know if he would encounter more. However, if news of God Burial Mountain were to spread, it would cause the entire world to go crazy. There were a total of 6 supreme treasures. Even the Almighty would go crazy if they came. It was enough for a peak race to attack God Burial Mountain with all they had. You scare me to death without paying for it. Just how powerful is the ancient celestial court? If the elites who left along that path didn't return, then the remnant races of the celestial court alone would hold a peerless foundation. Su Yan's breathing was heavy. Every kind of supreme treasure was unique and had world-shaking power. When it was fully unleashed, it was said that it could even shock an almighty to death. How terrifying was this Kuwait treasure? What kind of existence had refined it? Of course, Su Yin felt that these were still somewhat weak compared to the 6 supreme beings. Perhaps they were still alive, or perhaps they had left something behind before they died. They were guarding this place, in charge of guarding this world. Have I lost my way? Su Yin was stunned. When he approached another giant figure, he thought he had found the 7th one. In the end, he discovered that this was the first supreme figure he had encountered. It held a black whip. He was too majestic, unmoving since ancient times, immortal even after countless tribulations. This is a trap. Perhaps this is the end of the ancient celestial court. This is the place where the greatest secrets are hidden. Su Yin frowned in contemplation. He wanted to understand more. Perhaps he could see the secrets behind why they were guarding this place. Although Su Yin was proficient in strange techniques, with his cultivation, he couldn't see through the mysteries of heaven and earth. He went back and forth, back and forth. He didn't even know how many times he had walked. However, Su Yin always returned the same way, especially the last time when he recovered his primordial spirit and used it to search every inch of space. In the end, he still failed. He couldn't find a single clue. This was the most shocking layout. He couldn't see through it. With Su Yan's primordial spirit, to put it bluntly, it was almost on par with the Divine King. Su Yin was proficient in strange techniques. Even a half-step mighty figure wouldn't be able to see through it. Damn it, I can't see the way forward. Do I have to leave? Su Yin smiled bitterly. He had walked back and forth here for a month, but in the end, he couldn't find anything. He was about to see the greatest secret. He was unwilling to leave just like that. Su Yin sat there and stared blankly at the giant figure. Time passed quietly. The more Su Yin looked at it, the more he felt that this figure was abnormal. It was like an empty shell. It also seemed like it didn't exist in this world. How could it stand here and shine? More and more. Su Yin was a little confused. He was in a daze. He felt that he had disappeared, as if he had merged with the world. In the next moment, Su Yin stood up. He lost control of his expression. He saw it. Those were 6 unmatched experts. They towered between heaven and earth, towering between heaven and earth. They grasped various Kuwait treasures and guarded this place. They surrounded a huge stone statue, but Su Yin had seen this stone statue before. Once in history, the Celestial Court's billions of troops were chanting a person's true name in front of this stone statue. The 9 Heavens Divine Emperor. Chapter 921. Su Yin sat cross-legged, his body motionless. As for his primordial spirit, it seemed to have vanished, fusing together with this space-time. He could see the hidden layout here. Although it was a bit blurry and unreal, Su Yin was still able to capture some scenes. He was shocked. 6 unsurpassed existences wielding 6 supreme treasures. They towered between the heavens and earth, unmoving since time immemorial. It was unknown whether they were dead or alive. Now, they had stood here for a long time. Perhaps 1,000,000 years had passed, or perhaps even longer. They didn't move at all, and their tall bodies were covered in dust. Their true appearances couldn't be seen. But now, Su Yin could see the layout here. 6 powerhouses had guarded this place for a long time, standing around a stone statue. What kind of layout was this? This stone statue was definitely a supreme existence. It was likely the master of the celestial court, and it was also likely the name of the celestial emperor that had vanished from history. This should be a stone statue. It didn't look tall, but it flowed with an ancient aura. It emitted thick traces of time, and time had left deep marks on the stone statue. Although he didn't have any aura, he had a charm that transcended past, present, and future. This charm was like the most terrifying flood of all time. It flowed along the river of time and space, passing through this world. This terrifying scene caused Su Yan's primordial spirit to uncontrollably tremble. He felt like his body was about to explode. But what truly shocked Su Yan was that there were cracks on the stone statue. How could this be? A powerhouse suspected to be the ruler of the celestial court. His stone statue was bound to be peerlessly terrifying. But the stone statue was covered in cracks, as if it had been guarding this place for a long time and was about to shatter. Su Yan didn't understand, nor did he understand. First of all, the layout here was enough to shake the world. He thought that even if a supreme being attacked God Burial Mountain, they would still die here. Who could break the layout here? They were guarding this place as if they were guarding something. Su Yan was a bit confused. He thought about it again. Were they guarding the stone statue? Were they guarding something that could summon his true body? Or were they guarding something? Su Yan's heart was heavy. He felt that all of this had something to do with the Buried Region clan and this universe. The Chaos Immortal Mountain was definitely very important. In the past, countless experts of the Celestial Court had died in battle here. Even the Chaos Immortal Mountain had become the God Burial Mountain. Was it related to the calamity of the distant past? No matter what, Su Yan felt that he had discovered a great secret. Although he didn't know what all of this represented, this place was extremely shocking. It couldn't be touched or trespassed. If I become strong enough one day, I should be able to uncover the secrets of this place. So many years have passed. No matter how strong the enemy is, they should have died by now, right? If they really died, they should be buried in peace. But why do I feel like all of this is related to me? Su Yan's emotions were a little unstable. He couldn't help but recall that the army of the Celestial Court had followed the existence of the true name chanter into a mysterious ancient road. Hundreds of millions of troops went on a punitive expedition, and it was very likely that they didn't return, but how could Su Yan forget what he saw in the end? Perhaps. A cold light flashed in Su Yan's eyes. Perhaps I can find some secrets from the Ancestral Hall. When the immortal planet collapsed and the burial realm was formed, perhaps there was a shadow of the Celestial Court's remnant clan. But the Ancestral Hall and the Dark Nether clan caught up with us. Our clan gradually declined and was on the verge of extinction. But they have been searching for the Snow Mountain dragon coffin that our clan controlled. What does this coffin represent? And the posterior progenitor? Even the Ancestral Hall's ancestor has always wanted to capture me. What secrets do I hide? Su Yan suddenly stood up. His long black hair draped over his shoulders. His entire body was filled with a cold and domineering aura. He shouted coldly. Then, am I related to the Celestial Court's remnant clan? But millions of years have passed. How could I be related to the Celestial Court's remnant clan? Su Yan couldn't figure it out. He felt that it was necessary to follow the clues and pursue a mysterious path. Back then, the Heavenly Court's army blasted open that path and went on a punitive expedition. Perhaps this path still existed and could open up the old path of the past. Following it, they could search for the truth that Su Yan wanted to know. Could the Emperor's Road that Zhu Tian mentioned in the past be this concealed ancient road? Su Yan thought about it again and felt that there was a possibility. But as he thought about it, Su Yan shook his head and laughed. What was the use of thinking about this now? He had to wait until he became the Divine King, or even step into the realm of Almighties. Only then would he be qualified to pursue all of this. It's time for me to go and find my way to break through. Su Yan was ready to leave. This trip to God Burial Mountain had probably taken 2 or 3 years. He had reaped many opportunities and obtained some secrets of ancient times. He felt that he was returning from a rewarding journey. Most importantly, He had found a way to break through. This was the most important thing for Su Yin right now. Su Yin gradually moved further away from the ruins. He began to descend the mountain. The ruins of the celestial court that floated above the 9 heavens were desolate. Vaguely, there were terrifying figures moving about. They seemed to have awakened with a strange luster flowing around them. Su Yin abruptly turned his head to look. He felt as if he was being watched. Was it an illusion? Su Yin muttered as he patrolled the ruins of the ancient celestial court. He muttered to himself, "One day, I will come back. I will unravel the secrets here. Wait for me." He left with the celestial emperor's war banner. He followed the path back and prepared to find his own fortune. It's been half a year. Zhu Yuanqing would often take out the space-time mirror to observe the scene above God Burial Mountain. But from the time Su Yin reached the peak until now, half a year had passed. It could be said that in this half a year, the changes at God Burial Mountain had affected their nerves. Some people thought that perhaps Su Yin had obtained a fortuitous encounter and was refining his good fortune. Others thought that perhaps Su Yin had perished at the peak of God Burial Mountain. There might be some evil and strange changes at the peak. They felt that this land of death wouldn't be so easily broken through. No matter what Su Yin had obtained, whether he was alive or dead, God Burial Mountain was the focus of attention of the world. It was closely watched by the major characters of the various peak races. They all wanted to know the truth as soon as possible. But now, most of the powerhouses in the 10 Chaos Channels had left. Many powerhouses that had advanced to the heavenly god realm in the Chaos Channels had appeared. The Chaos Ruins were a place where good fortune gathered. Death and danger coexisted. A large number of powerhouses entered the Chaos Ruins. There were countless living beings and outstanding talents. There were geniuses that made a name for themselves, and young overlords that once looked down on a region had died prematurely. There were also universe secret realms that appeared, causing the young powerhouses of various races to fight for hegemony and bloodshed. As for the peak races, they were very quiet, especially the major powers in the Chaos Ruins. Everyone knew that they were digesting the universe secret realms that their ancestors had conquered and sealed off the super-strong Pure Lands. In short, there wouldn't be too much chaos in the first few years. But the Chaos Ruins had been open for 2 to 3 years already. Some people felt that this day was coming. They just lacked a catalyst. Perhaps a terrifying universe secret realm would appear, or a terrifying incomplete universe would appear. It would completely ignite the younger generation of the Chaos Ruins to fight for supremacy. As long as there were strong powerhouses, their first target would be the Divine King. Among them, there would be miraculous items that would be of great help to the Divine King. This also meant that chaos was coming. It had been like this for generations. In the end, there would be a scene of kings fighting for hegemony. Big news! The Heavenly God Tree has really appeared. This news spread throughout the Chaos Ruins, causing an uproar among the various races. In one night, the world was turned upside down. Many young powerhouses that were training in their own universe secret realms appeared frequently. It was an exceptionally terrifying scene. A group of dragons came out of the cage, and the universe rippled. It was like billions of torrents that swept towards a universe secret realm. Even the North Demon and the others rushed over. Even the strongest warriors of the younger generation from the Primal Chaos Ruins appeared frequently. In a short 3 days, all the prodigies rushed to a secret region of the universe, causing a huge commotion. As expected, a corner of the Great Collision had already been revealed. Who dug the Heavenly God Tree away? Even the big shots in the outside world were shocked. One after another, old powerhouses rushed into the Chaos Ruins. It wasn't just the Chaos Tunnel that one could enter. There were other paths. The Chaos Ruins wouldn't prohibit the big shots from entering. As long as it wasn't a universe secret realm, they could come and go as they pleased. Someone swallowed 2 heavenly god fruits in succession and rushed from the heavenly god secret realm to the peak of the heavenly god realm. The terrifying news spread out, causing all the big shots to shiver. This was a rare item that could only be found by chance. The heavenly god tree was a godly medicine tree, and the fruits on the tree were the heavenly god fruits. It was said that a single fruit could create a heavenly god. This item was extremely important to a race. What kind of heaven-defying treasure tree was this? Now, the news had been confirmed. A powerhouse that had just stepped into the heavenly god realm discovered the heavenly god tree immediately and swallowed 2 heavenly god fruits. His cultivation directly soared to the peak of the heavenly god realm. The heavenly gods, whose lifespans were almost exhausted, were about to cry when they heard this news. They had cultivated bitterly for thousands of years from the heavenly god realm to the peak of the heavenly god realm, but someone had eaten 2 heavenly god fruits and stepped into the peak of the heavenly god realm. Since it was a heavenly god fruit, it naturally wouldn't cause one's realm to become unstable due to an increase in realm. This fruit contained a heaven-defying effect. Now, it was the focus of all the powerful beings in the world. Even the big peak races all said that they wanted to seize the heavenly god tree. At the same time, in the distant god burial mountain, the scene projected by the space-time mirror made the big shots in the outside world fall silent for a short while. Many people could hear their heavy breathing. They all saw a person. Su Yin, who had disappeared for half a year, had come down the mountain. Madman Su has returned. At the foot of God Burial Mountain, there were still some people paying attention. They could faintly see that an overlord who swallowed the primal chaos had returned. On this day, the thousands of sects were in an uproar. The land of death had really been breached. Su Yin had retreated in scathe and had already begun to descend the mountain. On this day, there were also cold killing intents being released. This matter was related to the good fortune of the land of death. No one could sit still. This great secret was now hidden on Su Yan's body. Were they going to let him leave God Burial Mountain safely? Baidu searching 81 Chinese Network O. No advertisement. Chapter 922. Su Yin returned from the mountain. Looking at this dark world, he felt as if he could see the light of day again. Su Yin had stayed in God Burial Mountain for a long time. Although his cultivation realm was still at the 8th level, compared to before, Su Yan's combat strength had increased greatly. He had also undergone a transformation from inside out. With his current situation, it wasn't difficult for him to step into the 9th level of the divine spirit realm. I wonder what major events have happened outside these days. Su Yan's eyes scanned the surroundings. He took a deep breath and then walked down the mountain. The Chaos Immortal Mountain was now completely useless to him. Of course, only when Su Yin was strong enough in the future could he solve the mystery of the ancient celestial court. Now, in the depths of the chaos ruins, news about the celestial deity tree was constantly being transmitted. An ancient divine medicine tree could be considered a rare treasure. This item was enough to make any Overlord's faction turn red with envy. The celestial deity fruit on the celestial deity tree was too rare and precious. It was enough to make the foundations of the various factions soar. After all, a single fruit from the celestial deity tree could make a celestial deity. It was said that the celestial deity fruit contained a terrifying celestial deity Tao fruit. After eating it, one would become a celestial deity. Although the celestial deity wouldn't surpass the sagely battle god and the others, it was still powerful enough. But for Zhu Tian and the others, obtaining the celestial deity fruit at this stage could allow their cultivation realm to soar in a short period of time. This was a gap of 9 levels. Any peak genius would turn red with envy. As long as they could obtain it, they could save many years of bitter cultivation. However, the celestial deity tree only bore a few dozen fruits over the years. If they really fought over it, it wouldn't be enough. Of course, the celestial deity tree was the most important. If it could be transplanted, it could benefit the entire faction for a long time. A miraculous return. Su Yin really created a miracle. The experts in the outside world stared at the figure that appeared in the space-time mirror. They all saw Su Yin descending the mountain without even looking back. Many people were envious. Could it be that Su Yin really obtained the good fortune of the danger zone? They wanted to know what secrets were hidden above and what had happened in the distant God Burial Mountain. Incredible! Now many young overlords are fighting over the deity tree, but Su Yin has already returned from the land of death. There were also some people who sighed. They felt that the buried realm had really produced an expert who could hold his own. In the future, Su Yin wouldn't be far from reaching the level of the Divine King. They felt that it was only a matter of time. Is Su Yin qualified to enjoy this kind of opportunity? However, a gloomy and cold voice sounded, making their expressions change. What was the meaning of this? Could it be that they wanted to stop Su Yin and steal the opportunity of God Burial Mountain? When this vast region began to seethe with killing intent, some unrelated experts were speechless. Were they going to make a move? Prepare to intercept Su Yin. No matter what was said, the fortune of God Burial Mountain was enough for them to take action. The peak races couldn't sit still. Even some of the ancient aristocratic families in the primal chaos ruins were envious. If they didn't seize this opportunity, wouldn't that be too wasteful? Not good. Someone wants to trip him up and kill him in the dark. Who can sit still for the opportunity of God Burial Mountain? If they're determined to make a move, it seems like Su Yin is in danger. They won't easily break out of this situation. There were experts from the Marshall clan whose faces were grave. This was no longer a simple matter of enmity, but rather the fortune of Yu clan's death trap. Once they were determined to take action, who could withstand it? Even the supreme experts of the heavens would nurse a grievance. Moreover, the ancestral hall couldn't just watch as Su Yin returned to the sea and escaped into the primal chaos ruins. They would definitely try to stop him and eliminate him as much as possible. In fact, the various races of the ancestral hall had already issued orders, informing their sect's strongest to return. They were prepared to give up the deity tree and return to hunt Su Yin. I'm afraid there won't be enough time. An expert from the Northern Fey race frowned. The universe's secret realm is very far from the primal chaos passage. A round trip would take at least half a month. The Northern Fey won't be able to return in such a short time. No matter, informing the Northern Fey race is just a precaution. A great figure from the Fey race sneered. Our race has already formed an alliance with the other races to obtain the secret of God Burial Mountain. Thus, we have made some preparations in advance. This time, we will definitely be able to cripple Su Yin. Some people who received the news were shocked. The various races were really going all out. They didn't care about their reputation at all. They actually wanted to join forces just to target a single person. For the secret of God Burial Mountain, they wanted to join forces and cause a bloody incident. They wanted to cripple Su Yin and force him to reveal the secret of God Burial Mountain. In fact, even if a divine king obtained it, he would still be in danger. Since ancient times, great fortunes were hard to come by. Once it appeared, who would be able to sit still? Even if they joined forces, they still had to take it down. Moreover, the one who obtained the fortune this time was Su Yin. They were afraid that he would encounter a terrifying ambush. Right now, Su Yin still didn't know that danger was approaching him. He had already left the mountain and was thinking about where to go. The chaos ruins were too big. Many areas were controlled by the various great races. Su Yin had many enemies in the chaos ruins. Once he accidentally entered a dangerous place, he would easily encounter the danger of death. He was not afraid of anyone in the same generation as him. However, if there was really a big shot who was shameless enough to attack him, it would be terrible. I don't know if I can find the dojos left behind from the era of the immortal planet. There should be some inheritance in them, right? Su Yin thought to himself. Back then, he had dreamt of returning to the immortal planet and became a disciple of the various great Tao venerables. He had cultivated in the various dojos. Perhaps these once terrifying dojos had collapsed, but they weren't necessarily in a state of extinction. Perhaps these dojos had become dangerous places to guard some inheritance and good fortune. Su Yin was excited just thinking about it. He had obtained the imprint of the great Tao of the immortal planet. Perhaps he could really obtain something unimaginable. There is also the legendary Chaos Pagoda. It is said to be a supreme treasure. I wonder how strong this Chaos Pagoda is. Su Yin thought to himself. On the God Burial Mountain, there are 6 supreme treasures. It is very likely that they are the 6 supreme treasures. This Chaos Pagoda is so famous that no one has been able to obtain it for a long time. Could it be even more amazing than the 6 supreme treasures on the God Burial Mountain? However, it is said that the Chaos Pagoda is open for a limited time. Once the Chaos Pagoda floats out of the water, it will cause some commotion. Suyin thought for a long time. Finally, he said in his heart, I think I should go to the ancient city to find out more information. I wonder how the Milky Way is now. Did Bao Kai and the others come to the Chaos Ruins? In this vast primal Chaos Ruins, the territory was boundless. Many areas were covered by primal chaos energy all year round and were cut off by danger zones. There are also some areas that hid universe secret realms. If one could encounter a great opportunity, they could even dig out a broken universe by chance. The Chaos Ruins were extremely dangerous. However, in this vast territory, there were also groups of forces, sects, and orthodoxies. There were even many major ancient cities. The most famous ancient city in the Chaos Ruins was naturally the Chaos City. It was said that the Chaos City was an ancient city that was jointly built by the Tao Temple and various major forces in the ancient era. The Chaos City was also known as the largest city in the universe. It was also a place where the strong gathered. There were no exceptions if one met a powerful being in the Chaos City. All right, I almost forgot about the reincarnation fruit. Su Yan's eyes flashed with a trace of passion. Lei Zhenhe had made a deal with him in the past and revealed the information about the reincarnation fruit. Who didn't know about it? It was much more valuable than the heavenly deity tree. Eating it was equivalent to going through a reincarnation cycle. It was said that it could allow one to recultivate various secret realms and surpass one's previous foundation. This thing was coveted by even the Supremes. According to the information provided by Lei Zhenhe, the reincarnation fruit is located in an incomplete universe that is about to collapse. It is not far from the Chaos City. Su Yan had a goal in mind. He was prepared to go to the Chaos City and gather information on the immortal planet. Then, he would go to the incomplete universe to explore its secrets. He left God Burial Mountain, his figure traversing through this gloomy world. Su Yan looked at the endless corpses and sighed in his heart. There are many corpses here. They should belong to the Celestial Court's experts. The Celestial Emperor's war flag, the Pegasus, and the terrifying expert he had obtained in the past also belong to the Celestial Court's experts. It is difficult to trace back the time of this battle. The God Burial Mountain seems to be drifting in time and space. I don't know where it will go in the future, Su Yan said in his heart. There were rumors that the God Burial Mountain could move. It would appear in various major regions in every era. In short, the regions where it appeared were places of death. Even powerful beings could not attack them. Without the Celestial Emperor's war flag, would Su Yan be able to climb the mountain? It was definitely impossible. The Celestial Emperor's war flag suppressed the evil spirits of the God Burial Mountain and opened a path for Su Yan, allowing him to climb the mountain. Of course, this place of death referred to the God Burial Mountain and not this vast and magnificent world. In truth, in these past years, many cultivators had explored this world. But no matter how much they searched, they couldn't find any good fortune materials. Many people gave up and returned to the Chaos Channel. There were also some bold cultivators that had designs on the Red Tornado. They wanted to take away some broken artifacts, but without exception, all of them failed. Of course, the greatest price they paid was that they all died. Not a single person survived. It was like a curse. No one could obtain anything from this land of death and blood, and Su Yan only obtained help and guidance. Of course, the Celestial Emperor's war flag was an exception. Su Yan has gone far away. I think he will soon leave the God Burial Mountain. It looks like the good fortune of the God Burial Mountain has been exhausted. Either that, or Su Yan won't be able to obtain any benefits at all. I don't think he will leave so easily. Do you think there are people that want him to leave the God Burial Mountain? Or even take away the secrets of the mountain? Haha, is there even a need to ask? Lucky chances belong to the strong races and have nothing to do with a waste race. If Su Yan grasps such secrets, He will have to pay a bloody price to make him understand that the chaos ruins do not belong to a waste race's young powerhouse. The powerhouse that was secretly watching Su Yin had a cold and gloomy light in his eyes. He guessed that the outside world had begun to move. Su Yin could leave the God Burial Mountain, but he absolutely could not leave the Chaos Channel. Let's go too. We'll calmly watch Su Yin's end. I've been preparing for half a year. If Su Yin doesn't die this time, I'll walk backward from now on. Let's wait and see just how this overlord of a generation ends. To rewrite a legend and break through the forbidden zone of life, one must pay a bloody price. Su Yin, you can rest in peace. I will burn more paper for you on the road to the Yellow Springs. Many people's words were cruel and gloomy, as if they were sending Su Yin off ahead of time.